Preparing live stream. Got a little progress bar here. And here we are. Let me mute us. Oh, we are muted already. Perfect. All right. I'm going to post this, guys, on Facebook and on Twitter, and then we will get started.
I kind of wish we could like play a song and I'll be jamming like when people come in.
Hugh can attempt that. All right, everybody. This is officially happening now. This is officially happening now. We should be live, and the link should be there for everybody to see on Twitter and Facebook. And so if you're joining us, welcome. I'm Ken Lowe. I changed my name in the Zoom thing to be Tolkien-esque there, so all of the accent marks are where they should be and everything. And tonight's game is going to be in support of the Arts for Illinois Artist Relief Fund there. And you can see there over my right shoulder is the URL. That is artsforillinois.org/donate. The reason that I've decided to support this charity is because there are a lot of charities out there and a lot of folks are doing things, trying to pull their weight during the pandemic for people's material needs, which are indeed very dire. But I want to make sure that we don't leave behind local artists, independent artists, and arts organizations, places like museums, live venues, arts councils in local towns and cities, because they're the places where the next great artist might be discovered someday. And some background about myself is that I work in state government. I work for the Illinois Senate. So during the day, during my day job, I'm very dialed into what the state is doing to try to respond to the pandemic. And then sort of as a side gig, I write in entertainment. You can read some of my stuff at Paste Magazine at pastemagazine.com. So that's kind of what I do, where I write about movies. So I sort of have an appreciation for both sides of how folks are getting hurt in this pandemic here. Tonight, we've got what we hope to be a great show for you. We are going to live stream an actual play session of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. What does that mean? It's a tabletop role-playing game. I am going to be your dungeon master, or as they say in this version of the rules, the lore master, meaning that I have designed the scenario that I'm going to put these wonderful people through here. It's going to be an adventure. It's going to be an ordeal. They have each designed a special character in accordance with the rules system of this game to inhabit this world and to tackle the challenges that I put before them. Anytime that they're trying to overcome some kind of situation where victory or triumph is not assured, they will roll dice to see if they win. We're doing this in a program that's off on the side. I'm just going to call out what everybody's results are. When you roll the die, you add a little something from your character sheet, which are the list of things that your character is good and bad at. There are elves and dwarves and men and all of that stuff that you've heard about if you know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. But we have a special treat for you today because this rule set was put together by a company called Cubicle 7. It's a modification of Dungeons and Dragons to make it like Tolkien's Middle-earth, because everybody likes Lord of the Rings, because the Lord of the Rings is really cool. We're all fans of it in one way or the other. I thought that it was going to be more recognizable for folks who are watching who might not be into it. So that's why I chose to do this. What are some of the differences between regular D&D and this? Well, things like exhaustion are more important. We're really emphasizing the hardship of travel and journeying in this version of the game. There are no magical spells or anything like that. No one is going to be shooting off lightning bolts or fireballs or anything, because that doesn't generally tend to happen in Tolkien's books. Magic is much more subtle and much more tied in with the ancient pillars of the world. So that's kind of how that's going to be. The other thing is that lots of emphasis is put on giving characters something that's called inspiration, which allows them to roll a couple of times and take the better result if something good has happened to them or if they play their characters very well. There's one other, two other rules, I should say, that we're going to go for tonight, as we encourage you again to donate to the Arts for Illinois Artist Relief Fund. Okay, two things. One, I've already donated today. We encourage you to. We're not accepting donations directly, so please go to that link and donate as you watch. Let us know in the YouTube chat or on the Facebook page where we've posted this, just to let me know. But the two things that we're going to do here that are a little bit special. First off, I've added a little feature here for the benefit of my players. It is called the lore hammer. Okay. If I ever get anything wrong about Middle Earth that my players catch me at, they will drop the lore hammer on me. And that means that they get to automatically succeed at the next thing that they try to do, or they can save it up to use. They can give this to their friend, to their other party members, and that is going to be something that is going to encourage me to read the Silmarillion cover to cover and just become an expert on this. It could result in some funny things happening. Secondly, if anybody rolls a 20 while they are playing, the standard die is a D20, a 20-sided die. If somebody rolls a 20, that almost always means that you succeed at whatever you're trying to do. It means if you're attacking, it always means that you succeed, and you even deal extra damage. Tonight, every time somebody rolls a 20, I'm going to donate personally another $20 to the Artist Relief Fund. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I am now going to go through and introduce you to our cast of characters tonight who have all been gracious with their time. We're going to go until about 10 p.m. or, if I run out of adventure, because I'm great at not being good about estimating how long this stuff takes. And I'm going to start with our dwarf, Emily Steele. Emily, unmute, tell folks about yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for joining us on this fun little adventure. I'm still relatively new to D&D, so be gentle with me. So I am affiliated with Theater 7 in Decatur. It is a community-run, all-volunteer-run community theater, and they've been around for about 55 years. So we were supposed to actually have our last show of the season was supposed to open this past Friday, but we had to push that back. So we're kind of losing out on money right now, like all arts organizations are right now. So everyone's kind of struggling, especially because most arts organizations are nonprofits in some way. So I really appreciate Ken, who's this direction on my screen, for hosting this. My character is Kona. She is daughter of Kofar. She's a dwarf of the Lonely Mountains from Erebor, and she is a treasure hunter. And she has a beard, for those of you who were dying to know. She does have a beard.
I did not know if that was a joke in the movies or if that was canon. But Ian, I believe, told me that is in fact canon.
Ian's muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
I think it is.
Good heavens. All right. We are all going to learn some stuff about Middle Earth in this. And Emily, thank you very much. We're now going to go to one of my favorite people because she's my fiance, Catherine Eastvold.
Oh, gotta unmute myself. Well, thank
We might not be hearing you.
Where'd you go?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
COVID-19 about something I'm involved with, which is a Facebook group, a very simple mechanism. It's called Springfield Families Helping Families. I live in Springfield. And it's the fancy name for it is a mutual aid group, but basically it's 12,000 people who live in the Springfield area who post when they need something and post when they're willing to help somebody and help people in various ways. And so we've got people grocery shopping for shut-ins who can't or shouldn't get out and leaving groceries on their porch and ding-dong ditching. We have people who are sharing various types of information. We have people just updating other people when they go to the store and saying, this is where you find the Lysol and this is where I found toilet paper last. So it's really become quite a project and kind of quite an effort for for me and the other 4 admins on it. But there are a lot of needs out there, and it's a time when a lot of organizations are ramping up their efforts and doing a lot. You may have seen pictures of lines at food pantries, and that's happening to a lesser extent in Springfield, but still lines around the block a few times at some of these food giveaways. But there really is an opportunity for neighbors just to help neighbors. So it's been great to see that. But I'm extremely excited to participate in this effort to raise some money for the arts, because I have been involved in theater here in Springfield. My kids are involved in theater here in Springfield. We have a very strong community theater presence, quite a few theater companies, and they are hurting. Springfield Theater Center had to cancel its last couple of shows. The summer theater groups, Theater in the Park out at New Salem and the Muni, the outdoor musicals out on the lake, have both pushed their seasons back, haven't canceled anything yet, but looking at how that's going to work. So it's definitely a great area of need. And as Ken likes to point out, the arts are what are getting us through this pandemic in many cases, in terms of the streaming entertainment we're able to watch, a lot of the art that's been put on the internet for free. And so we need to appreciate that and give back when we can. My character is Durnhild Steel Sheen. I am a warrior of Rohan. I ride my horse Firefoot into battle. And I am the niece of Morwen, a princess of Rohan, and eventually I will be mother to the heir Theoden, whom you might remember from Lord of the Rings. And let's see. Well, I guess that's about all I have to say for myself right now.
This is all canon, by the way. Everything in this game is canon. We asked the Tolkien estate before we started, and they said, "Sure, do whatever you like." Okay,
Sounds accurate.
we're gonna move on to our next contestant, which is Kenneth Cruz is gonna join us. But how do you like us to refer to you here, sir?
You can call me G-Jog or Kenneth, whatever you prefer. I think it'll get confusing if we're calling me Ken and you Ken. So just call me G-Jog. That's good.
G-Jog has been a player of mine in several games, and of course we're the 2 Kens and everything, you know.
Yeah,
So
I'm the other Ken.
We always have to clarify. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
All right. Well, hi. My name's Kenneth. I live in Chicago. I play in a band called Jogford. You can find our stuff online. Obviously, we haven't been doing any gigging recently, but you know, we've been involved in the DIY scene and played a lot around Chicago. My character is Damrod Findigil. I'm a Dunedain Ranger. The class type is actually Wanderer in this edition of D&D, but it's a Lord of the Rings Ranger. He's a 6 foot or 6.5 foot, blonde haired, very fair, very lithe. People often mistake him for an elf, but actually he's a human. It's not until he takes his hat off and they see his ears, or they take a look into his dark brown eyes, that they realize he's not an elf.
Welcome. We're gonna move on now to Hugh Sullivan, a former coworker of mine. Well, so is Emily. It's not fair of me not to bring that up. Yeah, she's giving me that look again. Hugh, you are one of the more artistic people on this thing here. Hugh's a videographer. He's been in news. He's been in education. What are you doing these days, man?
So right now I'm the multimedia director for Illinois State University. So I produce a lot of the videos for the school. Aside from that, it's actually been a little while since I've produced a short film, but I've produced films with Emily and Ken before. I've worked with Theater 7 that Emily's involved with, and a lot of organizations in town. I've done a lot of work with the Decatur Area Arts Council with their fundraising efforts, and back when a lot of those people were also tied in with the Lincoln Square Theater, or just the Lincoln Theater downtown, working with them to raise money. So I've always been involved in the arts, and obviously I play music. I'm in a couple bands, so art is very important to me. I was an art major, so I really jumped on the chance to nerd out, play D&D, and do it for a good cause. And so my character is, I'm a hobbit. from Bree. My name is Finnegan Proudfeet, and I'm a very learned hobbit. So sure, I do preoccupy myself with food and pipeweed, but I like to do that over a good book in front of a roaring fire.
But that will not be what happens in this adventure. Last but not least, of course, we're going to have our guest star for the evening. He is a coworker of mine, and I wanted him to play in this game, but realized that if that were the case, I could not pick his brain about the lore. And as he and Catherine are the two people that I know who know the most about Tolkien's Middle-earth, only one of you could be in the game. So I wanted him to come and do a guest spot for us. So tonight he is going to be playing the part of Elrond Half-Elven. And Ian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So as Ken said, I am his coworker. I work for state government. I do care a lot about the arts, though. My dad was the director of an art museum as I was growing up. My fiance is an interior designer and was an arts major. But since I don't have a character to introduce, I'm going to spend my time giving you an exhortation to stay home, wash your hands, clean surfaces, don't go out when you don't need to, take care of elderly friends and relatives by not going to their houses, but maybe getting them groceries and whatnot, checking in on them. And this is a hard time for everyone. It's okay to not be okay, but also remember that everyone else is in the same boat.
The wisdom of the elves from the first age. I slipped off of the space bar there. All right. I'm gonna unmute myself permanent like now. And I think that's everything that we had to brief everybody on. So now it's time to start the show. So I'm gonna bring up my introduction here, and everybody bear with me as I get us here in character. All right. It is the 2,947th year of the Third Age of Middle-earth. And all throughout Rovanion and Eriador, on both sides of the Misty Mountains, it is a time of renewal, but also dread. For those of you following along at home who don't know every year of every event in Middle-earth, 2947 means that it is 5 years after the events of The Hobbit, where the dwarves of Erebor laid waste to the dragon Smaug and reclaimed their ancestral home under the mountain. Even with the slaying, however, of the great goblin under the Misty Mountains, the triumph of the free peoples in the Battle of the Five Armies, the Renaissance taking place among the Bardings in Esgaroth, there is a heavy shadow over all things. The forests of Mirkwood are still growing darker. West of the mountains in Eriador, foul creatures stalk the night in greater numbers than ever. And among the learned and those who look beyond the borders of their safe homesteads, there is a feeling of some gathering darkness. We are going to find out what happens in this time. But first, we're going to actually back up just a tiny bit to before the Battle of the Five Armies, before the events of The Hobbit. And one lady dwarf named Kona, daughter of Kofar. I almost said son of Kofar, which would have been bad. All right. Emily, you are Kona, daughter of Kofar, and you were born... you are one of the dwarves of Erebor, but you are old enough, of course, since you're of adventuring age, you would have been around when the Battle of the Five Armies happened. And so you actually would have been off west in the Blue Mountains, where Thorin's people were all waiting before this happened. And your father, Kofar, thought of you as a very spirited young lady, because I believe, as you were describing your character to me, you did not want to follow the normal pathway of a lady of Erebor, being sort of a shut-in and then not introduced to the outside world at all, because that's generally how dwarves treat their ladies. Well, one day your father comes to you and just goes, "Daughter, come on, you got to get married. You got to settle down. You got to stop having these funny ideas about being a lady dwarf with a beard who goes off adventuring." How do you answer him on this day?
No, sir. I think I'd rather go adventuring. Find me some treasure.
Okay, he says. Well, I see that I'm not going to be able to convince you, he says. So, despairing of ever getting you married off, he lets you go off into the world. You, however, are surprised a few years later when you get a letter from him. And we'll say that you're off in maybe Esgaroth or somewhere, and you get a letter from him that basically says, Thorin's here. He's storming the mountain. We're going to get our home back. Come and fight. Everyone's got to come fight. And he actually says, like, come and be on the front lines and be in my unit with me. How are you going to respond to that?
Heck yeah. Let's
Oh.
go.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you arm up, and we're going to say that you have everything that you have in your character sheet now. As you arrive to form lines, what you find is that you are forming lines against the Elven King of Mirkwood and the Men of the Lake, right? Because they are all arguing, now that the dragon is slain, they are all arguing over who gets the treasure inside the Lonely Mountain. And as your battle hosts are lined up, suddenly a host of goblins and wild wolves arrive. The sky gets covered in great bats from Angmar, and suddenly all of the elves and men and dwarves look at each other and think, you know what, we hate these other guys way more than we hate you. And you all form lines and you join battle in what will become the Battle of the Five Armies. And suddenly the commander of your unit is bringing you word of two things that are happening at once. Dane Ironfoot is off in one area, and Thorin Oakenshield is off in another. And I'm seeing what I had there. Yeah, in the midst of this terrible fighting, you receive word that your father's company is off with Dane Ironfoot on a hill surrounded by wild wolves. But your commander is ordering you to go help Thorin's company, who is fighting goblins off in another part. So the question I have for you is, which are you going to do? Are you going to follow your orders and go save Dane, or are you going to break with that and go save your father?
My loyalty is to my kin. I have to go help my father.
All right. Do you want to go alone, or do you want to try to convince some of your folks to go with you, the other people in the unit?
I think I could sneak off on my own. I don't want to get anyone else in trouble. This is my own battle to fight.
All right. If you're going to sneak off, then I'm going to have you make a stealth roll and see if you can actually give your unit the slip. Go on ahead and take a look at your character sheet. You should see in the skills there what your bonus to stealth is.
Okay.
Everyone, we are doing this, by the way, we are achieving this through Discord that you guys are not seeing, you folks watching at home. So Emily is going to roll a d20.
I wasn't ready. Okay.
Don't worry about it. A 16.
+4.
Plus 4 is a 20. Holy crap. All right. Very good. All right. A 20 is enough to evade even the keen ears of the dwarves, who probably don't have keen hearing. They're in mines all the time banging on things. They probably have a fair amount of hearing loss from that.
OSHA's not around.
Hell no, it's not. All right. You managed to give your unit the slip without them knowing, and you rush across the battlefield. I'm going to say that you don't encounter any difficulty with a stealth roll like that. So you arrive, you see your father's unit on the hillside there, getting attacked by goblins. How are you going to help him? I'm going to say there's him. There's maybe 3 or 4 guys up on a hill, and they are defending it with their bows and their axes and mattocks. You're coming in from the back, and they're just surrounded.
Did you say he was surrounded by wolves? I thought you said her dad was surrounded by the wolves.
Which
right?
did I say?
I think you said her dad was wolves, and then goblins were with Thorin.
You're correct. Wolves. Holy crap.
I suppose I can shoot them from afar. I've got my short bow, so I can take a shot at them.
Go ahead and roll an attack.
Okay.
That is a 17, and there's going to be stuff added to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you definitely
3.
hit you're using all your luck up in the prelude here.
Sorry, fam.
It's fine. All right. One of the wolves takes an arrow and is slain. The other immediately notice you. Your father and his men rally and are able to start attacking them. Some of them are peeling off and coming after you now. Are you going to try to pull your sword or whatever it is you have out and attack them? Or are you going to try to run away? How are you going to try to?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take my short sword and try and kind of run toward the danger to get to my father. So is that
yes.
D20?
Well, hang on. I'm not going to have you attack. We're just going to kind of see where this goes. I'm going to have you roll a Constitution save. Okay. You are getting attacked by a lot of things here, and you don't have any backup from your unit. So I'm just going to see how do you gut through this.
Is that a D20 again?
It's another D20 again.
Okay.
And you better roll well. 14.
You would
plus-
add your Constitution modifier, right?
3.
Yeah, and if you have a save, yeah, okay, so
So I should have done +3.
yeah, but it's fine. So 17. All right, a 17 is pretty good. You take a couple wounds, but you're gonna be fine. Here's how this goes down. Your father and you both survive. The two of you are both the only survivors of this assault. Okay. You guys don't kill all of the wargs, but you do beat the crap out of them, and you're able to get away afterward. This is not regarded as a particularly glorious act, though, because you did kind of abandon your unit. You went AWOL and everything. So here's what happens. After the incredible Battle of the Five Armies, which slaughters many and completely remakes the political map in that side of the Misty Mountains for an age to come, Thorin Oakenshield dies, and Dane Ironfoot becomes king. Now, because you kind of abandoned your position and everything, he is not able to do anything like give your father a commission or anything like that. He's bound by law to sort of disinherit you from the spoils of the battle. But this does not mean that you're completely unfavored, however. Glowin, who is a dwarf from Thorin's company, comes and visits you afterward and says, the other dwarf fathers don't hold you in high esteem, but I understand what you did on behalf of your sire. I think we all understand. So I'll tell you what, you may have been disinherited, but a friend of mine, not a dwarf, but a short fellow, he actually left behind his share of the treasure. He just took a couple of chests of gold that would fit on a pony, and then he made his way back home. It's not mine, so you can have some of it. And he actually gives you a share of the treasure that the company of 14 won when they came to Erebor and everything. That is the reason why your character's character sheet has tons of gold. Like, you've got tons of money on yours compared with the other players. But also, and you can write this down somewhere, when you're back in Erebor, money's no object. You're good to go. If it's something that you can buy that's normally like in the rule book or something, you don't even need to deduct money or make a check on it or anything. After this, your father, he's wounded, he retires and sort of lives his days out. And that is why when he receives an odd summons from Rivendell, Glowin and the other of the company actually come to you and say, Dane Ironfoot doesn't really feel like answering the summons to Rivendell because now that the dwarves have theirs, they kind of don't care. But what do you think about going?
I have no role here, so I would prefer to. My father is settled; he's taken care of. I would rather be on the road.
Very well. So you pack your stuff up, you grab a pony, and you ship on over the Misty Mountains. So now that will be the reason that you're headed to Rivendell. We are going to now head down south through the Wilderland to the great March of Rohan. I think that Hugh has actually prepared a little introduction for us here as we go to the Rittermark, as we go to that great land. Give us an intro. I love it. I love it so much. All right. And our production values here are fairly low, but I also don't want a YouTube copyright
Yay.
strike. I also don't want a copyright strike. We are going to be introduced now to a young woman of Rohan, Durnhild Steelsheen, right?
Correct.
Okay. Durnhild, you are a young lady of Rohan, and very similar to Kona. There is a path through life that a woman of Rohan is expected to take, and you do not take it because you have, as you have grown, you have become enamored of the tales of great renown, battle, and slaughter, as Eowyn would and did say it in the books. And the critical difference between you and Kona is that whereas her father was trying to be a regular chauvinist dwarf, yours is actually fairly supportive of you. And he sees that, what did I say, that you were 5'11" and 180 pounds? Yeah, anyway, he's like, you know what, you're soldier material. And he nurtures this because, as we know in history and in the great tales, there are shield maidens of Rohan. They're a thing. And you are given martial training. You learn how to ride in a saddle and fight the foes of the Rittermark, and you are accepted into the king's service, which is quite an interesting turn of events because at this point, and I Googled this myself, Theoden's grandfather, Fengel, is king of Rohan, and his reign is characterized as one that is not very well suited. It is not a happy time. The young prince has left Rohan, and he scarcely returns. He spends almost his entire youth in Gondor, and when he returns, he does not even speak the Rohirric tongue, but the speech of Minas Tirith. King Fengel himself has a dour and fell countenance about him, and his edicts are driven not by the needs of the people, but by his own whims and grievances, and he sees enemies and rivals even when there are none. So despite all of this, despite his odd attitudes about women and shield maidens in particular, with your father's support, you become a knight of Rohan and you're entered into the king's service. And not long after you are entered into the king's service, you are actually standing guard in Meduseld in Edoras, which is the golden hall of the kings, and a word comes in from the Eastfold of marauders and bandits, sacking small villages and generally being jerks. The messenger who brings these ill tidings is someone you've never seen before. He is a tall, old man with a very long gray beard. He's dressed all in gray with a crooked walking stick and a pointed hat. And you're just coming into the hall here as he finishes his message. And as you draw closer, King Fengel declares that any ill news from that part of the country must be lies told by some scheming cousin of his. And this strange gray wanderer looks astounded and outraged by the fact that the king refuses to see the danger. So you are a king's woman, a king's man, usually a king's woman, you know, and you're a knight, you have standing. Do you want to speak up and say anything?
I know from experience that my words will not be welcome. However, I have begun to realize that soon I will not be welcome in my own home due to the palace intrigue. And while I do not trust strangers, sadly, I trust the court even less. And so I will speak up and gain more news from the stranger.
All right. here is what I'm going to have you do. On your character sheet, you can take a look and see your charisma score or your traditions skill. Whichever one of those is greater, go ahead and roll that.
All right. Okay, yes.
And let's see what happens. That is a 12. All right. On a 12, you acquit yourself fairly well, okay? You speak up and you speak in favor of this stranger. You speak well enough that the other lords and attendants, the dukes or whatever you would call them, jarls, I guess would probably be what you would call them in Rohan, wouldn't you? They're pretty Viking-ish. They see the wisdom of your words and they kind of begin to take your side on things. This angers Fengel greatly, but he also senses that he is sort of outvoted in the court of public opinion there. And he says, very well, if a shieldmaiden of Rohan is so brave, then she may investigate this matter herself and take a company of knights with you. And then he orders you to get going, basically immediately. And he grants you 3 men, is what he gives you. You don't think that's going to be enough to investigate whatever's going on here. Do you go with the group that you've been given, or do you try to muster up some more people to go with you?
At this point, even though I believe he is wrong, I will respect my king.
All right. You grab these knights and you begin to ride east. And what did I have in store for you if that was going to happen? All right. You ride east, and as you arrive in this part of the East Fold, you're sort of running a wide patrol just to try to find anything that you can. Well, as night falls, you encounter this group, and it's a group of brigands. They're bearing torches, weapons. They outnumber you 2 to 1. They do not have horse, however. Okay, they're sacking homesteads and stealing things and breaking things. You see them from a distance because of their torches. They do not see you. How are you going to approach this? Do you want to attack them right away? Do you want to call for reinforcements? How are you going to handle the situation?
As they're already torching houses, we're going to act to defend the innocents immediately. So we're going to mount up, and as soon as we're within bow range, begin shooting at them.
Roll an attack with your bow, bearing in mind your mounted bonus, I think. So I think normally you get a +7. You're going to get a +8 because you are on the back of your steed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, that is a 19. All right. No thug has an AC higher than a 19. Your bow shot slays one of the guys immediately. They respond. They drop the innocent women and children, and they come charging at you and fight. I am going to go ahead and roll against you and see what happens. A 10 does not hit my captain's armor class, does it? I don't think that you are going to get hit by a 10. No. All right. First wave of battle crashes against your guys' shields. You ride around them again. Go ahead and give me a strength save on your sheet. You are still in your saddle.
Okay. Okay.
What did we get? We got a 12. Okay. You are not unhorsed. This fight goes very well for you. You suffer losses of none of your own number, and you chastise these thugs severely. You kill the better part of them, and the others flee into the hills. You're able to discover that they are some wild men from the other side of the Gap of Rohan. They've penetrated deeply into the kingdom if they're over here on the eastern side of the river. But you discover this, you render some aid to the people in the countryside, and then you return to Meduseld, where King Fengel has the worst. I guess we have to be careful about swearing in this, right? This is for charity. All right. Well, you might say if you were from Rohan, an expression would be a manure-eating grin. That is what is on his face as he is forced publicly to acknowledge that you were right and he was stupid. And now you are more popular than ever. And suddenly the woman in his entourage, horror of horrors, is well regarded by people. He's so happy with your performance that he announces that you will be an emissary to the west and that you are to ride west of the Gap of Rohan and make a show of diplomacy to Eriador and the peoples therein to open up relations to that side of the Gap of Rohan. How lucky you are. I guess this is your impetus for joining the adventure here. So I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you if you're going to do it. I'm going to ask you how you feel about it.
My heart is heavy at leaving my homeland, but I must go. I must do my duty.
And so you must. Your father embraces you, gives you all the equipment that you have on your character sheet and the money that you have on your character sheet. Says, my daughter, you will return to Meduseld one day. I know it. Kisses you on the forehead. He gives you the helmet that you've got in your inventory there, and you begin riding westward. And as you are riding westward, you're just about to pass through the Gap of Rohan when suddenly a gray rider comes riding down south out of the pathway that you know leads to the Tower of Orthanc in Isengard, where the White Wizard is said to live. This is the same gray-clad fellow that you saw before. And he rides up, and he offers his name as Gandalf the Grey, said to be the Grey Wanderer in your country. And he says, he looks you over, he says, word has come to me of your deeds, Lady of Rohan. I know that you've been sent away at an ill hour, but I also know you will return. And so I say, I give you this piece of counsel, if you'll take it. Ride through the Gap of Rohan, and then ride you north up along the Misty Mountains to Imladris, the place called Rivendell. And there you will find accommodation with my friend, Lord Elrond, and perhaps an errand that he will have you perform. I promise that it will be in keeping with your diplomatic mission as well, if you will do this. And go with the speed of the steeds of Rohan, please, he says. Do you have anything you want to say to him, by the way? My shirt is disappearing. There we go.
Well met, my friend, and thank you. I wish that I shared your confidence in my return. May it be so.
And so you and this strange gray wanderer fellow part ways, and you head west of the Gap of Rohan through many dangers. While that is happening, we're going to cast our eye westward through the Gap of Rohan and thither northward, far to the northwest, past the ruins of Tharbad and up into the land called Eregion, where we are going to join one of the stern men of the wilderness, who the folk of the villages call rangers. And this Dunedain ranger goes by the name of Damrod, who is a young ranger yet, well regarded in his tribe. Damrod, your family and you yourself have been hunted by the servants of the Dark Lord for as long as any of you can remember. I will ask you this. Do you know of a reason why that would be? Or is this something that's a mystery to you?
Well, we've been fighting the dark. I mean, it's been a family I mean, it's a surprise that there even is a family, because that's always been our code, is to fight against the dark. So I assume that most of the progeny has been born in far off, or keeps far off from the land on nights when some of us made it back. And you have some mead, it's warm, things
I
happen.
I have some mead. This is literally mead right here, actually.
So I think that we've always, our family has always, since we've survived, since our last ancestors, we've always just fought the shadow.
You are a young ranger yet, and you're sort of coming into the family business here.
Mm.
You have yet to actually go out into the hinterlands west of the mountains here and fight some of this strange fell creatures that crawl out of their tombs and would menace the Shire or Bree or that part of the land. But your training is nearly complete, and you know that day is going to come for you soon. And it does one day when you see a rider ride up to your parents' homestead where you are visiting them. They're a little on the older side now, so they're not going off and adventuring, but you are ready to. And this rider comes up. She's hooded, and she has on her left shoulder a brooch holding her cape there, her cloak there, that is a silver rayed star on her left shoulder. And she dismounts her horse and walks up to you. She does not give her name, and she does not ask yours, but you see that she is a woman who is wearing a leather hide armor. She's got a braid of hair there with hawktail feathers in it. And you cannot tell, she's a Dunedain like yourself. You cannot tell if she's 40 or if she's 70. You can tell that she is a archer, though, because though she's armored, her right arm is bare, and it is what the folk of the Third Age would call a gun show. And she
A
asks,
bow show.
yeah, a bow show. Here's what she does. She gives you a secret sign among your people that identifies her as, if this were an army, she would be like a general. She's somebody very important. She goes in to speak to your parents, and then she comes out to speak to you. And she says, young man, your time has come. I have an errand for you. I'd like you to come with me and be prepared to do battle and to make camp for the night. Will you go with her?
He says, well, if now is my time, then let's ride. And he takes the pipe that he was smoking and he knocks it out on the stump. He puts it in his leather bag. And he'd already started prepping. I mean, if a general shows up, he knows his parents aren't leaving. It's him. So he'd already prepped his traveling bag, and he slings it on his back. She came in on a horse.
She came in on a horse.
Then I'd take a horse from our state. Then I'd have a horse from our stable, and I'd say, let's ride.
All right, she says. She's happy to see you ready. You mount up and you follow her. She does not offer any conversation on your guys' journey, which takes the better part of a day. Do you try to get any information out of her?
No, I'm a ranger. Well, I would not be talking. I'd be paying attention to what's going on around me and looking for signs, looking for orc sign, all that stuff,
You guys pass north.
The birds.
There you go. You guys pass north out of Eregion, along the river, and you guys come to a part of the world just east of the old forest that is called the Barrow Downs. The Rangers know this land very well because it is a place of shadow and fell necromancy. You guys make camp outside some of the old barrows there, and the stars come out, the moon rises, and as you're perhaps maybe thinking about going to sleep, suddenly you hear something stirring, and the woman who is taking charge of you here says, "Be ready." And she pulls out her own great bow and starts stalking off toward one of the barrows. Are you going to follow her?
Yeah. I mean, sorry, in my head I thought it was the scene where you pretend like nothing's happening but everybody's grabbing a weapon, but it seems like we're just going right for the danger. So that's kind of new to him, because usually as a ranger we pretend that we don't know anything's happening, but really we're all readying our weapons.
Well,
We
you
could
know,
drop
you don't
on the
have anybody
surprise.
else. You don't have any free folk around to put on a happy show for. So she's dropping all pretense
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, so I guess I would pick up my bow and knock an arrow and follow beside her.
As you do, something emerges from the tomb. It has the shape of a man, but it is not. The flesh is pale. It's drawn away from the teeth and the fingernails. He wears a rotten shift, and he's armed with rusted and notched weaponry from an age of Middle Earth from beforehand. Damrod, the ranger, go ahead and make an attack roll against this thing.
No, he probably yeah, he rolls a 7.
A 7. All right, your arrow goes wide. She is going to go ahead and shoot her own off there. She rolled a 22. All right. She sinks an arrow into it. A second one comes out of the tomb there. She is focusing her fire on the first. Are you going to do that, or are you going to try to draw the second one and keep that one engaged? How are you going to play this?
Well, he's already missed with the bow, so he's noticed that his hands are shaky, and this is his first battle. So knowing that he's already shook, and so his aim's going to be off. So he drops his bow and he takes out his shield and his longsword and he rushes in.
Roll it.
Okay. Okay. And I'm the slowest one. Hold on.
Don't worry about it. We're all working the kinks out.
Okay. He rushes in and he slices straight up like an upward swing. I think of an uppercut with the sword.
Nope.
That's what he's doing.
And with a 13 for a shambling former man, that is going to catch this thing. Don't worry about your damage. You're going to take that thing's head off. The second one is now close to you. He's bearing down on you. Go ahead and make a Constitution save as his cold hands grasp on you.
It's cold hands. How sweet.
Cold as ice.
Cold as ice. 12.
All right. You barely manage to shake off a horrible feeling of icy cold that tries to grip at your heart. And as you shake off and push this thing away from yourself, suddenly
I
another...
batter him with my shield.
Definitely. And as you're pushing him back, suddenly another yard arrow just pierces it through the throat. And as you watch, this woman comes wading in with a torch, a lit torch, and she shoves it into this thing, and the two of you dismember and burn the two corpses. And she says, you can argue with elves, you can argue with Gondorians, but you can't argue with results. So she says, you have some years yet before you can trust the steadiest hand on your bowstring, but you are no harp player either, and I deem that you are ready. I have need of you. They call me in the towns here. I am known by not a very illustrious name. They call me Hawktail, and that's what you will call me, she says, until it's time for you to call me something else. I would like you to accompany me to Bree. We have business there. And just keep your eyes and your ears open and keep your hand on your bowstring, and we will do fine. All right?
And my axe. And he picks
and
up
all
his
that,
bow.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
The two of you ride east along the road And Bree is a perfectly good reason for us to check in on our other character. Tonight, we are going to join a young hobbit of Bree. The Bree is a home of hobbits and men. People who only know the movies might not be aware. And among one of those hobbits is the young Finnegan Proudfeet. The way that you've characterized the character, Hugh, it sounds like that while hobbits are known as being homebodies normally, you're something of an oddity even among these, because indeed there isn't much that will pry you away from your books and lore, much less your pipe. Have I gotten that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go out to my garden and tend that, but really, aside from that, I've got a whole lot of books, and I've got a few that I still have yet to get through, and then the rest of them I need to get through again. So I've got some work ahead of me.
Funny you should mention these books. You got a rather interesting one. You're always on the lookout for another spine to crack, and one day you popped by the shop, and there was a very interesting tome that was in stock there, an old one, older than any that you've ever seen before, written in an older language. And the fellow who sold it to you says, funny thing, there was a hobbit who was passing this way, and he said that he was coming back from the Lonely Mountain, and he brought this and unloaded it on me. And I've never seen its like before, and honestly, I'll sell it to you for cheap because I can't think of anybody who's going to want to buy it. When you snatch up this book, you note that it is a tome of tales of old Numenor, which is the kingdom of men from long in ages past. And most people would think that it's just legends, that it's just like King Arthur or something. That's how many people would look upon the tales told within this. You don't particularly care too much about the swords and dragon slaying and Balrog fights or any of that. You do care an awful lot about the herb lore that's within. You're finding out amazing things about Ethelos and the like that you've never known before. So that's what you have in your possession. That happened maybe last year. Well, no, I'm sorry. That would have happened 5 years ago, about 5 years ago. You've pretty much put it out of your mind, but you learned a great deal from it. One day, not long after the adventure of Damrod and the stranger ranger Hawktail in the Barrow Downs, unbeknownst to you, you are doing your normal pass through the marketplace one day. I'm going to say, what is your passive perception score, which is on your sheet there? It is way down at the bottom left corner.
Bottom left.
Yep.
I don't have anything. Oh, it's my wisdom. So hold on.
Should be your wisdom, yeah.
Yep. A +1.
All right. That would normally be an 11. So here's what happens. You're in the marketplace. You don't notice this person until they are standing very close to you. It's a man dressed darkly, face shadowed, and you become suddenly aware that he has been watching you for a while. And you're out in the street. There's stalls and shops and everything. Do you engage with this guy? Do you try to get a closer look at him? Do you try to get away from him? You're kind of getting a bad feeling from him.
Sure. So I'm in the middle of shopping right now, right?
Yeah.
And how close is he to me?
I'd say he's within about 10 feet of you there at the next stall over.
Okay. I'm just gonna do. Is he looking at me? Is he making eye contact, or is he just standing near?
Currently, he's not making eye contact with you, but he's doing it in a way where he's really trying not to make eye contact with you, if you know what I mean.
Sure. I'm gonna just kind of. I'm gonna play it cool and kind of, see something that interests me. Oh, there's some fruit. And then just kind of zig and zag and just kind of, without, I'm not going to like run into a full sprint, but I'm just going to kind of try and zig through a couple of stalls over to some other vendors and maybe give them the slip.
Make a stealth check. And if you don't have that, just a dexterity check.
Yep.
And let's see what happens.
All right, my dex is a +3, so let me get into Discord, huh?
A 17 ain't bad. All right. With a 17, you do give him the slip. Okay. You sort of zig and zag and you hit down an alley there and you're out of sight of him and you're pretty sure that he didn't see where you went. Here's my other question. Where are you going to go next? Are you going to try to head home? Are you going to try to head somewhere else? Are you going to duck into this closest shop or bar that you can get into? How do you want to play it next now that you've shaken him visually?
Yeah, what's the closest doorway to hop into? Is it a bar or is it a shop?
Well, funny you should ask. It's a popular establishment called the Prancing Pony. It's a place where many travelers go. The door is open, it's nice and loud, and some folks are dancing on the table and drinking ale.
I'm gonna pop in and see if I recognize anybody. I've got some buddies who usually hang out in a booth here, and see if anyone's within eye shot when I hop in the door.
You do see some, well, I mean, everybody knows everybody, right? So you do see a couple of your friends who are buying pints, despite the fact that that is a significant portion of their blood alcohol content normally.
Cool.
They're off being hobbits in the corner there. You also see two strange folk, two very tall men. I say men, but one of them is actually a woman. Braided hair over one shoulder, that rangery look about her, hawktails feathers in her hair, and another very tall, surprisingly fair, blonde-haired looking, lithe-looking man dressed in the manner of a ranger next to her too. And Damrod, as you are looking, as you are enjoying your pint alongside your new master, you look over and see the very hobbit that she has said that you're looking for. Suddenly, young Finnegan Proudfeet walks into the very bar that you're waiting at. As he does, and as he takes a seat next to his friends, Finn, you are going to look over and see the same guy who was following you before and a friend of his. And they're now poking into every single shop looking around for you.
So do I see are they already in the prancing pony, or I see them through the window, like going around?
I would say you could probably see them through the window there, but they're about to enter the place. How are you going to play this?
Okay, am I wearing like my normal like cloak that like my normal jacket that I've got out?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take that off. That way I'm not wearing what they recognize me in, and I'm gonna seat myself back to the door where they would pop in, and I'm gonna gather my friends in, and I'm gonna just act normal, just laugh, and hopefully when they pop in, they're gonna see this group, yelling and being raucous, and think like the guy who ran away from us wouldn't be carrying on and being super loud. Why the hell would he be like acting up? So I'm just gonna be like, hey, and I'm just gonna start like telling jokes and just try like that. I'm not gonna let them know that something's up, because then they'll start acting weird and looking around and being stupid. So I'm just like, I just rip off my coat, gather them in, and I just start like singing a song.
All right.
Like a drinking song.
Here's what you'll do. If you have persuasion or performance or just a straight charisma check, go ahead and roll that.
Okay, let's see. Performance is my charisma, and I've got a little bit of that. And what did you say the other one was?
Persuasion would be another good one.
Yeah. And what was the third one?
Just a straight charisma check if you haven't got either of those.
Okay, yeah. So it would just be +1. All right,
Go for
let's
it.
see. Oh,
18. All right. The luck of the Shire folk is, well, the Bree land hobbits, I suppose, is just as legendary as the Shire folk. Damrod, as you watch, this young bullshitter here completely fools these two shadowy individuals as they pop their heads in there. They look around, they do not see who they're looking for, and they pass by. Hawktail turns to you and says, "That was very interesting." And she leads you over to the young Finnegan.
I think they were looking for him.
Well, here's what she says to you. She says, why don't you go investigate why don't you go ask one of those gentlemen their business? I'm gonna do something here with Finnegan. I'm gonna have you roll. I'm gonna have you make a straight attack roll. Okay, go on ahead and make that, and then we'll get to your result here after I have her talk to Finn. While he's doing that, Finnegan, you see one of these ranger folks, the younger fellow, dart out of the room there after the two men who seemed as if they were eyeing you. And then the older woman approaches and says, the hobbits never cease to amaze me, she says. You are a much sought after man, Finnegan Proudfeet. That is your name, isn't it?
Who's asking?
You have heard of Hawktail before. She is one of
Okay.
the rangers of this land here, but you've never met her or seen her.
Okay.
She has kind of an intimidating backstory, or reputation is what I meant to say. Backstory, reputation precedes her. You would know who she is based off of the hawktail feathers in her hair and everything. But
Okay.
rangers
So I recognize her then.
You would recognize her, and you would think that she's kind of a rough and tumble sort, but not a bad person or anything like that.
Okay. Then I guess knowing that, I would say, yeah, I guess I'm pretty well sought after by the ladies of Bree, but
She shakes her head.
and my buddies are laughing because I'm obviously like the cool one of the group. No, I'm not. But so I say, yeah, I'm Finn.
She says, those men were looking for you because I believe that they are looking for something that you have. So I'm wondering if I could take advantage of your renowned hospitality at your hobbit hole and see if we may speak more on this. Do you agree to have her over for tea?
It'd be awful rude to say no to a lady. So I down my pint. I bid my very confused friends farewell, and we head back to my place.
All right, now let's get back to what Damra did. Was that the 17 that you rolled?
Yes, it was.
All right, here's what happens. The two guys are moving through there. You wait until one of them is out of sight of the other, and you just grab him and yank him into an alleyway there. Go ahead and, I suppose, play it however you like. If you want to intimidate him, go ahead and make an intimidation check. If you want to try to smooth talk him, whatever, how do you want to go about that? You're just trying to get whatever info
Well,
spill for
I
him.
mean, those are all the same, for my character.
All right,
So
let's.
I guess
yeah.
I guess I would knock him down.
All right.
I would knock it. Well, I would pull him into the alley and I'd smack him, knock him down, and then I'd say, "It's interesting that there's two men going after such a little one. What do
All
you
right.
want from this hobbit?"
This guy is going to try to roll and save against your glowering intimidation. What is your charisma, sir?
It's let's see, it is 8, so it's -1. It's not letting me roll my plus -1.
Yeah, that's plus or minus one there. That
Oh, I see. I'm not used to that dice expression. Usually it's
you just
the
go
other one.
-1 there, and you should be fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you
Oh,
go.
12 to 12. Well, that means that you beat his thing there on a match. So, all right. He spills. He says, I was just hired. He says, I took some coin from a guy, and he gives you the name of sort of a local tough around here. We will get to him later. Okay.
Mhm.
You secure that name, and then
Mhm.
Hawktail comes out with young Mr. Proudfeet and says, did you find out who he works for?
Yes, it's a local tough by the name of Ken. Will tell us later.
And we'll tell us later.
Using the
Exactly.
parentheses,
Yes.
these
Yes.
parentheses.
The amazing thing about Tolkien is how much he puts into the naming schemes of his characters, and how their names wend through the ages and have mimetic mutation and everything. It's really fascinating. It's one of the reasons I love Middle Earth so much. Ken did not come up with this because he's just shooting this stuff here right
You're
now.
fine,
Thought it
you're
would be
fine.
fun to have your character do that. We'll figure
Yeah.
out his name later for real, though, guys. She says, "Very good. Let him go." You know. So you release him, and he.
I boot him in the ass too. when
Yeah,
he
perfect.
starts
Yeah,
walking
he
away.
snivels and runs away and everything, and you know. Anyway, you retire to the hobbit hole of young Mr. Finnegan Proudfeet, where Hawktail asks you, Finn, you, I believe, have a tome of Old Numenor in your possession. Is that true?
What is it?
This would be the book that you got of the herb lore that you had before.
No, I'm asking her.
Oh,
yeah,
in character,
yeah.
you're asking.
Yeah. Like
She goes.
what?
She says very patiently. She says a very, very, very old book. She says.
Very old. I mean, I got a lot of old books.
While that's going on,
You said
he's
tome?
going like looking at the.
Yeah, I'm like the tome of old Numenor, and so like I start digging through because I remember like old books, but you know I haven't looked at that one in probably 3 years, so I'm kind of like digging around, and I'm like, yeah, let me find it here. So like I finally stumble across it in the back of an old chest. So I'm like, yeah, here it is. Like I don't really think anything of it. I'm like, yeah, it's a cool old book. It's got some nice stuff in there about weeds.
On the front of this book, the illumination or the embossment on the front of this book is an island with 5 sort of offshoots of the island and a big mountain in the center, and above it, a silver star. You know, you would not have missed it. And she takes a look at it. She rifles through it, and she says, "I have need of this. Not I, but somebody." Somebody very important has need of this, and I was going to come here and ask you if you would be parted from it for but a while. But now that I've seen how you handle shady characters, something tells me that you should come with us. And you are known around here as being a man who likes his lore, likes his books, and likes to learn things of the past. We are bound for Rivendell and the house of Lord Elrond, last homely house west of the mountains. And I guarantee that if you come along, you will find much learning there at the end of your journey. What say you?
So, okay, that's a lot of process.
I know.
So, you're inviting me to go hang out with elves?
Yes, she says.
What? Because of this old book? This old, like, I got this at like a secondhand store for pretty damn cheap. This is the book. You need a book. This book.
I need this book, but I also need someone who can speak so eloquently that the servants of the shadow are fooled by him. And I've heard tell that hobbits are made of sterner stuff than people realize, and now I've just seen it. So
I don't know anything about shadow people, but I like the idea of seeing the elves, and I've heard they got some pretty good cuisine. So yeah, how long do you think this? How long do you think this journey will take? How many days of food should I pack? I start kind of like rifling through my cheeses and my breads and start kind of packing a sack.
Well, if you marathon them, it takes about 9 hours end to end with the extended editions. You know, I'm just kidding. A long time, she says. Pack, but we travel light. So you pack up a pony's worth, perhaps, of provisions and everything, and she leads you on the way to.
I've also got a gigantic bag of books that I show up to the door with.
Oh man!
I'm like, all right, here's my books. I've got my books.
Portable typewriter.
I've got my pipeweed. I've got some stuff to do a little. I've got like a big ass journal that I'm going to do some writing in. I'm really excited to do some drawings. I've heard Rivendell's beautiful, so I'm going to do a little bit of drawing. So I've got a lot of like my supplies. So I'm ready for a vacation in Rivendell, baby.
Oh yeah. You know, an Oregon Trail, I think you could like buy an organ or something, like as in like a pipe organ or a piano.
Like a full-on calliope.
Yeah, man. And like that was like,
yeah,
if you were like rich, like if you were like a St. Louis banker family or whatever, you could start with that. That's totally how we're envisioning you.
So yeah, I like, from the way I took this was just like, hey, let's go hang out with some elves. So like I'm ready for like the lap of luxury here.
You head in and start east along the road. Probably takes you a week or so of hard travel there with the two rangers and your stuff in tow. And so now we will finally cast our gaze eastward to the land of Lord Elrond. As the rangers are headed in, you guys all meet along the same area of the road there, because the way that these things sort of wind around, there's like one good way into Rivendell, right, from the west. So even those of you coming from the south, those of you coming from the north, those of you coming from the west, you will all meet on the road headed in. And this is indeed as gorgeous and beautiful place as you have all seen, and you all encounter one another on the road. And do you guys make introductions? Are you guys open with one another? We'll start with Kona. You encounter these group of rangers on the road. Do you make your salutations, or do you sort of keep off by yourself? How do you feel?
I don't know that we are of the same mission yet, correct?
You would not know so.
I think I will acknowledge them, give them a stern nod, and just go on my merry way. I'm not looking to make friends here. I have a mission to accomplish.
The older ranger lady in particular gives you a respectful nod as well. But just as she does not offer her name, she does not ask yours, and she moves along. Damrod or Finn, you guys have anything to say to her?
Well, so Damrod's cloak is pulled tight and his hat is on, and he just raises a hand and keeps.
There you go.
Keeps going.
Cool as a cucumber.
I'm intimidated a little bit by the sight of a dwarf. Obviously, it's the first time probably that I've seen a dwarf. Right, not a lot of dwarves passing through Bree.
You may have seen some pass through Bree. Actually, you may have seen some, but you probably would not have spoken to them.
Yeah, so I just give like a very polite nod, like I show my manners, and if on my steed I've got I can get to my journal fast enough, I may start working on a quick sketch before I forget what this lady dwarf looked like.
As you are doing that, not long later, another bend in the road comes in, and from the south rides a woman of the race of men whom you have never seen before. She is taller by far than some folks, even in Bree, even some of the men folks at Bree. She is riding the largest horse you have ever seen, and she is clad in mail with a sword and a bow on her back and a shield. And she bears the device of the Horse Lords of Rohan. And Durnhild, you ride up to this group of folks. You're all taking the same pathway in. Do you make any greeting to them, and in what manner?
I do. As I ride closer to them, I determine that they are not a threat, that they do not intend to bear arms against me. And so I ride up to them, and I very formally bear them the greetings of Rohan and of Thangol King.
All right. And you guys, it comes in clearer in the books than it does in the movies, but like Rohirric and those who speak Rohan and speak like the common tongue with the Rohan accent are really like made to sound as if they are big strapping Vikings. So she comes with like a good Norse accent and greets you in the common tongue and everything. Anyone have anything to say to her?
I'll just give a very polite greeting back from the from the back of my horse, and probably if I'm still sketching, I'll probably be like, "Ooh, man, all right, another person to add to the book here. I'm meeting a lot of characters already. We're not even at the spot yet."
Damrod would say, "Well met. It's been. I almost said many a 10-day, but that's a D&D reference.
Yeah, we're not in Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, I was just say it's been many moons since I've, or it's been years since I've spoke with one of the riders.
Kona got anything to say?
I take my hat off and put it back on.
Good salutation there. Perfect.
Greetings, rider. How fares the road?
It goes onward.
Really,
Excellent.
it goes well, if not for the unscrupulous amount of books that we seem to be packing with us at this time. But at least there's some old Toby that he passes about to us. So you win some, you lose some.
There you go. As you guys are riding in, because I rolled this earlier, he rolled very poorly. There is somebody watching you guys from the trees as you are heading into the Rivendell. He is trying to stay stealthy. He is not succeeding. Even Finnegan, who is not one trained in the arts of war and stealth necessarily, spots him. Kona and Dernhild and Damrod, you all spot a young man moving through the trees. You catch a glimpse of him here and there. Does any of you want to call him out or show that you've seen him or anything?
Well, I guess I would flash a hand message over to Hawktail, and I'd say, have you been? What should we do about the boy that's been following us for 10 minutes?
Well, here's what Hawktail says. She turns directly to the trees and says, "Yes, what indeed should we do about the boy who's been tailing us for the last 10 minutes?" After she says this, despite the fact that you saw him along the side a second ago, he actually does dart into the middle of the road before all of you. You see a strapping young lad, taller than he looks for his age. And Damrod, you in particular will know that he is, like you, one of the Dunedain. He's maybe 15, 16 years old. And he says, "Sorry, I was out on patrol." And she says to him, "You were not out on patrol. Eladan and Elrohir were out on patrol. You were messing around." And after she says this, 2 elves come out of the trees further up the path. You did not see them. And they are strange to you, those of you who have never seen the elf kind before, because they have fair skin but long dark hair. And they both look like they're twins. You cannot tell either of them apart. One of them rides up and addresses the boy in Sindarin, right? Is that how you say, Ian? Is that how you say the Sindarin or Sindarin? Sindarin.
I think it's Sindarin, but I'm not 100%
Sindarin.
sure.
All right,
I don't
whatever.
know the
It's
pronunciation.
Sindarin
Elvish.
sounds less abrasive.
Sindarin, okay, yeah. It's Elvish, man. Those of you who can understand Sindarin, hear him say, you have a bit of a strange thing. It sounds like he says, like, "Hope, what are you doing? Go home," or something. But you realize that that's the boy's name. The boy's name is Estel. And, it means hope. The boy's name is Estel. And he makes kind of a rude gesture at the 2 of them and laughs. Hawktail shakes her head, and then he and the 2 elf lords turn and head back to Rivendell. You guys head eastward into this beautiful land, and you come finally to the last homely house. You guys stay there. You are admitted by the elves. You each get some quarters. You rest your steeds. You rest your feet. You're given singing and song and food. And after a couple days of this have passed, finally, you are admitted into the chamber of Elrond Half-Elven, Lord of Rivendell. And it's at this point that finally, I thank him for his patience. Ian will have his part here. "Lord Elrond, I'm sure these heroes want to know," says Hawktail, "why you have gathered them here. Will you tell us why?"
Welcome to Rivendell, the last homely house west of the mountains. I am Elrond, and this is my home, and the home of many of the elves who remain in Middle-earth. If you will forgive me for but a moment, I will light the torches, for I fear the sun shall set ere we finish speaking.
Yes. We're going to light the torches in the house, in the last homely house.
Yeah, some special lighting effects going on for the live
This is
stream.
this is the highest production value that we literally have in the entire video so far, is the fact that Elrond is going to light the lights of the west.
This is the best that the elves can do.
Well, geez, a dwarf would say that, right? And so, with the light of Telperion, Lord Elrond continues his spiel. Go on, sir.
I have called you here, Dunedain, dwarf, shieldmaiden of Rohan, and halfling, because the free peoples of Middle-earth face a threat the likes of which they have not seen for nearly 3,000 years. In the east, a shadow has awakened. The Lord of the land of Mordor has returned. 5 short years ago, the White Council, a gathering of the wise, the wizards, and the mightiest of the elves, joined together to drive the necromancer from Dol Guldur in Mirkwood. As Gandalf the Grey suspected, we confirm, to our sorrow, that the necromancer was no new evil, but Sauron the Accursed returned once more to trouble elves, men, and dwarves. Now, before he gathers his power, we who work against him are doing what we can to gather our defenses and lessen his strength. I need your help. There is an object we must gather before the Dark Lord can find it. Though its strength is largely symbolic, it could serve to rally the Dunedain and the men of Gondor. I speak of the scepter of Enumenos, the chief device of the rightful heir of Elendil, the heir to the might of Numenor and the thrones of Gondor and the lost kingdom of Arnor. I ask your help in finding the scepter because if I went myself or sent a mighty elf lord, I fear the enemy would know our purpose. You can journey to the place where it is hidden without attracting his attention or revealing our purpose. You are all elf friends. I trust you. Will you help me? I will offer what I can in return. My riches lay mostly in knowledge, though there are some material treasures I may have within my power to grant you. What say you?
What say you guys?
So I'm gonna hang back and wait until everybody else says. I'm still unclear on exactly what is being asked of me. I thought the book was about my involvement, so I'm just hanging back to see what everyone else says. So I'm just kind of nodding along and being like, oh, what do you guys think? So that's what I'm doing right now, is just kind of like I'm poker facing it right now, but I'm a little freaked out, like talking about like, oh, it's just Sauron, so can you help me?
What say the rest of you?
Lord Elrond, I pledge the aid of the Mark on this quest. However, with all respect, may I ask, where are the men of Gondor on this quest for their scepter?
Though I sent word to the realm of Gondor asking for their aid, none have answered.
Then it shall be.
Indeed. And the reason that none have answered is that none of you guys rolled a Gondorian, unfortunately.
Thanks.
A fair question, though. A completely fair. What do the other members have to say?
Time on the road? Battle? I think I can do this. You have my sword.
And the dwarf lady of Erebor.
You have my bow. My time under the mountain is past, and I am ready for the road as well.
Thank you, friends. What about you, halfling of the Breeland?
And you have my book, which should pretty much help you find what you need. So I think I'll probably just grab a couple more of them finger sandwiches on the way out and see my way back to Bree. Then, if you guys have what you need, I thank you for your hospitality.
Well, here's what happens as you say that.
I was going to say, I would have put my hand on his shoulder and I'd say, oh, but little friend, who's going to see you back? Seems like you should travel with us so that we can make sure you get home safely after this.
Friend Ranger, thank you for your assistance. However, I don't want anyone on this journey who does not go of their own accord. However, I can offer you much knowledge in the art of herbcraft, which I am told is your passion. And I believe that someone with your skills would also be helpful on this journey.
At this point, and Lord Elrond, if you are good with your exposition here, the Hawktail will speak up. If was there anything further that you had to impress upon? Okay, well, Elrond actually calls upon Hawktail, but he does not call her by that name. He calls her by another. He says, "Lady Gilrain, will you explain more so that perhaps young Master Proudfeet will understand?" And the woman called Hawktail rises and she says, "Yes, and I apologize for the secrecy. I am indeed Gilrain, and excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. Damrod, this name will ring a bell for you immediately. So you already know this when she says this, but she says, I am the widow of Arathorn, chief of the Dunedain, who was slain some 15 years ago. And the reason the Tome of Lore held by young Master Proudfeet was sought after by the enemy is that it contains not just the secrets of healing from the old age of Numenor, but some lost tales of the beginning of the Third Age and of the realm of Arnor that is lost to the north. And now that we have studied it, it is as Lord Elrond suspected, and that within there was a key piece of information that helped us to determine the tale of the resting place of the scepter that should one day be borne by the king of what we hope to be a reunited Gondor and Arnor. We long suspected that it lies within the fallen, sunken city of Annúminas, and now we know precisely where. And she explains that the reason, and this would be the part of the book where they go into like amazing lore. So imagine that you guys get talked at for 2 hours by her, right? She says that the reason why they knew roughly where it was, but not exactly where it was that the legends that they heard referred to a tomb in which it was kept as a bearing of honor for the person there. The king could do that. He could leave the scepter with a warrior of renown for a period of time as a kind of symbolic, you're so awesome, we will let your tomb hold the scepter for a little while. Then Annúminas sank as Arnor fell and split into the kingdoms, the constituent kingdoms that it became. And now the kingdom is long lost out of memory. Some 2,000 years hence, it's been gone. The reason that they knew it was in somebody's tomb but did not know which one is that the other stories that referred to this warrior with a kenning, which is, you hear this in the Beowulf and the Arthurian stories and the Greek legends, like, the swift bolt, the smoldering bolter or something was Zeus's kenning and everything. The problem was that the person who had it was so famous that they didn't think it was necessary to say who it was. They just referred to this person by their moniker, which was Slayer of the Troll Chief, Slayer of the Troll Chief, Slayer of the 60th Troll Chief. No one knew what that meant until they recovered Finn's book and discovered in there a tale that said, oh, the Slayer of the 60th Troll Chief, and a name of this lord in there and the location of this person's tomb in the lost city of Annúminas. And here is why they can't just go look for it. The city, Elrond explains and Gilrain explains, has long been sunk under the waves of Lake Evendim, which lies, she says, to the north of Bree. So with apologies, she says, Master Proudfeet, you are actually headed back toward your homeland on the first course of this journey. Abide with us a bit and decide whether or not you want to stay in this adventure with us. I think perhaps you will be persuaded. But for the first part of our leg of the journey, your feet will be pointed toward home again, she says. How does that strike you?
I appreciate that. I'll have some questions for you. I heard our other Dunedain friend talking about battle being a big part of this, and I'm not very versed in that. I've read a lot of books, but not many practical readings on battle. So, and did you say, hold on, the slayer of the goblin chief? So that was a real thing, huh? That the thing I read about in that book, that was a real person?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Gilrain says, and Elrond too would say, like, yeah, man, I was there. I just didn't remember it.
I just thought that was like a cool story.
Gilrain says, what you will find, young Master Proudfeet, is that there are many stories that are more than just stories, and some of them are sleeping not far from where you rest your own head. One last thing, and I'm not going to steal Ian's thunder here, but Elrond is going to say one quick thing. He says, on your journey, because it's so hard to get into a place where you literally cannot breathe because it is underwater, I have some things for each of you. And he bids an elf come forward. This elf is Damron the smith. He is disfigured, burnt, strange for an elf, right, to not be fair of visage and everything. And he looks very stern and very dour, but he comes up and he's friendly with you guys as he passes out 4 helms that have been fitted to each of you. And there is a hobbit-sized one for you, Master Proudfeet. Just finished this myself last couple of days, he says. These helms, when worn for a short time, but long enough, hopefully, will grant you the ability to breathe air even as you tread through water beneath the waves. All right. They only have so much time, but you will need them on your journey. Guard them safely. Do not let anyone see them, and do not use them until the time when they are needed the most, he says. Go on ahead and pack water-breathing magical helm into your inventories there. And with that, I believe that's all that we need from Lord Elrond here, unless anyone else has anything to ask him or anything. Or Ian, you want to give any words of valediction here before you get going for the night? We appreciate your participation.
I'll start with, do you have any questions, or is there anything else you need for your journey before I give any valedictory remarks?
Just again, before we get going, I appreciate the offer to join and you jumping in, Lord Elrond, to give me the choice that some people were trying to bully me into. What kind of danger what should I be looking for on this trip? I already got chased into a bar by a weird shadowy figure, and that was enough excitement for me. So considering that was only the start of this, what should I expect?
I will allow Gilrain to correct me if I have any information that is incorrect, but you are journeying to a land that has long been forsaken by men and elves. I would expect many of the dangers of the wild to be the case. You may encounter some remnants of the enemy's forces, but the reason you're going, and not myself or my sons or an elf lord, is that we don't expect you to attract the greater servants of the enemy in your journey.
Gilrain says, well said, my Lord Elrond. That is all perfectly correct.
Are we able to outfit ourselves from your armory and the larder?
The larder, certainly. However, what Elrond will say is that nothing that he holds here is going to be better than the gear that a dwarf lord would be wielding at this point, or a ranger. And also, packing around enchanted pig stickers from the Second Age is a good way to get noticed, he says. So as low profile and stealth are our mission here, you'll take what you've got, and then he pledges that he'll make sure that you are well provisioned, so that you're at least not going to have to worry about running out of any essential supplies, he says.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. Lord Elrond, does anyone else need Lord Elrond before he gets going for the night?
Well, I mean, I would ask, if we're going to, if we're to be provided with lembas bread, because I have heard a tale and I'm excited to have some in my pack.
I'm sorry, I missed part of what you said.
I think I'm pronouncing it lembas bread, elven bread, or
The way bread.
You
Yeah.
are mistaken, sir. That is not crafted here in Rivendell. That is a food of the realm of Galadriel, one of the last of the Noldor living in Middle-earth.
Lorehammer.
Lore hammered.
However,
Boom.
some of should you need courage on your journey,
What did you say? I'm sorry. You cut out for a second there.
could offer them a flask of Miravor, the cordial of Imladris, should they need courage on their journey.
Oh yeah, let's have some courage, everybody.
Yeah, I'll take a
I'll
take a
take
little
that.
bit of
I'll take
liquid
that.
courage. Por
And
favor.
I'll bet you, in fact, that if I look on our break, as I'm about to put us on here for just a few minutes, that I can look up the draft of Miravor there. I'll bet you it's in the rules somewhere there. Put it in your inventory, everybody. We are going to bid Elrond farewell. Ian, thank you so much for being in today. And for those of you watching on the stream, I am going to kill my video here, and we are going to take 5, folks. And then we will get started on the journey proper here. Let's call it 8:17 Central. We will be back after these messages. We'll be right back. We'll see you guys in just a bit.
Thanks, Ian.
Farewell all.
Hey, everyone. If you're still watching here, just letting you know we're on a 5-minute break. And as everyone hops back in here, I'll bring everybody back up to speed. I'm going to say that we're just about ready to come back just as soon as everybody else jumps on. And frustratingly, I was not able to find the Miravor rules, despite the fact that I am certain that I saw them in one of the supplemental books here. But now, as I'm searching through them on the PDF that I have of it, I cannot find it. So
I'm doing Google stuff too.
cool. I am going to say that each of you guys has that in your inventory. You can knock that stuff back, and it will remove an exhaustion level, and it will restore your hit points. That is what I am just going to go ahead and say. You have one use of that, because as every DM knows, if you don't know the rules, just make something up that sounds good. And that is that's my gaming philosophy here. I hope folks are watching. Hope folks are having a good time. Just wait for Emily and Hugh to come back here in a minute. I'm going to sip on some of my cherry mead that Catherine is also having some of too. It's going to be our draft.
And that's a local Illinois mead, is that right? Or where did you get that?
Oh, no. Actually, this is one. Let me get the thing up here. Yes, it's going to ghost into my camera.
We can see it.
This is a dagger, is the name of the brand, and it is from Enlightenment Wines in, I believe, Brooklyn. And somebody that whose books I really like to read, I saw her tweet about it, so I decided that I was going to buy 2 bottles of it for this very occasion, and they showed up in time.
So in other words, is this a dagger that I see before me?
It is.
It is. It is a dagger.
It is a dagger. That's what you see.
To mix references here.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We'll get going here again in just a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about this part of the rules, which is very interesting. Hey, Emily's back. This part of the rules are kind of interesting in this edition of the game. So for those who know, 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons is the current edition. I like it a lot. It's simplified some of the rules. One of the nice things about D&D is that they kind of have open source on the rules, the most basic rules. So if you are an enterprising creator of tabletop role-playing game content, you can use the system reference document, the open game license, to create supplemental material just as long as it passes legal muster. So what these guys did was they adapted that to Lord of the Rings. Doing that, they also developed rules that were specifically for journeying. Somebody's typing, and I think it is G-Jog. Are you typing?
No.
I'm pretty sure it was me. Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, anyway, this version of the rules includes stuff specifically for journeying. I've simplified some of this stuff here and rolled some things on your guys' behalf because I just want us to get going with the adventure already. So here's what would normally happen. Normally, one of you guys would roll to sort of begin the journey. That would be the guide. I already went ahead and rolled for you guys, but at this point, you each choose a role that you are going to fulfill on your journey from Rivendell to Bree.
And just as a point of order,
Yes.
any role that is not taken, I can fulfill those roles as well as a wanderer.
Yes, that's right.
So I don't
that's
fulfill
right.
one role; I can fulfill many roles.
Yes. Now, as it goes, you probably all each, because there's 4 roles and 4 of you, you probably
Okay,
want to
good.
go that. But if anyone's ever out of commission or can't do a good job at it, yes, the Wanderer has that ability. Here are the roles, and here are the skills that you guys would use in order to fulfill them. The first is the guide, and that's somebody who's in charge of all the decisions concerning the route, the rest of the supplies. You would roll your wisdom or your survival.
I would.
Fire.
I have advantage on with survival rolls, so I should
That's
probably take
pretty
that.
good. That's pretty good for you. The other thing that would use survival checks is the hunter, in charge of finding food in the wild. So we'll go ahead. That would also be a survival check, which you would also have advantage.
I can do either one if anybody else wants to be the guide. If anybody else has survival.
Here are the other things. The scout is in charge of setting up camp, opening up new trails, and they rely on either stealth or investigation. So whoever has those things would be pretty ideal as a scout. Lastly, there is the lookout in charge of keeping watch, and they rely on the ability of perception, or if you don't have the perception skill, just a wisdom roll again. That's what we're dealing with.
I've got pretty good dexterity and stealth, so I think I'd be a decent camp keeper. I like to build a fire and wander through the forests.
All right.
Say-
Mhm.
I was gonna say I also have stealth and investigation, but if I could be used elsewhere, that's fine too.
Okay. I think for our wanderer, it comes down to whether you would like to be scout or hunter. Which would you prefer there, Damrod?
Well, we have provisions for now, so. You said scout or hunter?
Yeah,
Or
I
did
mean,
you
if
say
you have
guide or
advantage
hunter?
on your, if you have advantage on survival, either of those would be
I-
welcome to you.
I would say I'll take guide because basically, if anybody else is incapacitated, I have to be the guide in order to take in the other roles. So if anybody's
Okay.
incapacitated or they're like, I can't find anything to eat, then I can step in and try to help. But if I'm not the guide, then I can't do that. So I'll be the guide.
How is survival for Durnhild? Does she have that skill?
I do not.
No, don't. Okay.
I have I mean, it would just be wisdom. I have a +1 wisdom.
All right.
Or sorry, yeah. Yeah, survival is wisdom, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So scout then comes down between, I think, Kona and Finnegan. Which one of you guys would like to take that?
Are there no other roles, or are we not double dipping? Can we not both be scouts?
Yeah, that's the thing. You only need one. And if something goes undone, then it's like you automatically would fail at it, I guess.
Well, I feel like, I mean, you're gonna be more sneaky, and if something happens, I'm gonna be more likely to fight. So it just depends.
Yeah, I think I'd rather the sneaky one than the fighting one. If
Go
you
for
don't
it.
mind, I mean,
All right, we have the guide is Damra, the scout is Finnegan. That leaves the hunter and the lookout. The lookout. So it's down to Kona and Durnhild on either of those things. Either of your characters have an opinion on who should do what.
Oh, do we need anything in particular skill wise?
For hunter, it's survival or wisdom. For lookout, it's perception or also wisdom.
My wisdom's an 11.
An 11, okay, that's a +0, but it's still fine, you know.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and do lookout, and then
Okay.
Durnhild, do you want to have your bow at the ready to be hunter?
Oh, hunt, yes.
Very good. All right, you guys get started from Rivendell. You make sure to note down that Miravor in your provisions. I am not, as I've heard it said, I am not a food and drink DM. So here's how I basically put this. You guys have enough provisions to get you from where you are at to where you are going, planning wise, unless something befalls you. If it takes too much longer than you plan, then food will become a problem. So that is just how I'm going to put that. And here's the other thing. To clarify, you do have like horses or ponies to bring your stuff along with you. Durnhild's horse is the only one that is a war horse. Okay, so in your case, Damrod, you do have a horse, but it's not really trained to be a battle horse. You know what I mean? So Durnhild can fight from horseback because she's got like a military saddle and a trained horse and everything. The rest of you guys, if the fight breaks out, your horses are not gonna like getting taken into a fight. They are not bomb proof. like a horse of Rohan is. So just to clarify that, you guys get started and you start heading west. Everybody, go ahead, and we're going to start with the guide. Guide, give us a survival roll.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my goodness, a 24.
Well, let's see if I get a crit. Hold on.
Could possibly get a crit. You rolled a 19 and got a 24 total.
I
All
got
right.
a 21 and a 24. So 24.
24. All right. You are speeding quite well along your way. Let's talk with a scout for a stealth or an investigation check, whichever is better.
That's me, right?
That's you. Go for it.
Hold on, I'm gonna unmute myself.
No problem.
Alrighty. Oh boy.
Oh, a glorious 7. Not really seeing stuff going on the road that well. All right. The hunter can supplement the food that is along there to hedge against any loss of provisions. So, hunter, go ahead and give us either a survival or a wisdom roll if you don't have survival as a proficiency. And that is a glorious 16. Not bad. All right. Durnhild is a woman born to the saddle. Gets you guys a good coney there that you split between a lot of you there. Some rabbit stew. Perfect with potatoes. That happens. Potatoes, you see. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. All right. Lastly, the lookout is going to take a perception roll or a wisdom check, whichever she has there, if perception is not bubbled in. And see what Kona spots along the way.
Okay.
All right, a glorious 4. Here's what happens. What with the scout and the lookout both having kind of lower rolls, here's what happens. As you guys are passing along, you're a couple days on the road because the scout did well, or the guide, I'm sorry, did a fairly decent job, and because your hunter has kept you guys fairly well fed, you are going along an easy path or an easier path. You're moving at a fair clip. But you do not notice these until you run across them. Suddenly, you have stumbled across a company of gray elves. You do not see them until they have already seen you. You're sort of coming around, I don't want to say a copse of trees or something, and you stumble upon them. Both of you sort of surprise each other. And these are elves who are from Mirkwood, I want to say. Well, actually, I would say that they were Lorien elves, actually, at this point. They are dressed in a manner completely different from any that you have seen, any that Kona would have seen in Mirkwood or that you have seen in the House of Elrond. They're wearing white and silver. They all look not aged, but old. And they're bearing lanterns, and they're walking. And they are not carrying anything with them, really, except for the smallest of packs or the lightest of loads. And they all look sad but determined. They have seen you before you've seen them. You're kind of getting the impression that maybe they're like surprised or annoyed by your presence there. Do you guys want to try to interact with them in any way?
Well,
I'm a hang back type of guy.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's just like you just kind of put your pony behind the warhorse to try and like just. I mean, they're not like fanning out. Are they like moving to the side? Are they?
They don't move. They don't move. They're not in the road. They're right off of it. So you're sort of like passing right by them. You're within easy distance of them at this point. You can see the whites of their eyes.
Okay, I suppose I would like raise my hand, like can't see it because it was my background was, but it's just like in a gesture of like non-combatancy, just kind of like tip my hat and just point that we're going this way, and we just kind of keep riding. And I'm watching them.
All right. Anyone else doing anything else?
I'm just keeping an eye on stuff, just trying to gauge what's going on. I'm new to this stuff, so I'm like, are we gonna fight? Is there gonna be a fight happening right now? Like, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on my bigger companions and being like, should I be scared?
Anybody else?
I suppose I'm a curious folk, and I'm not particularly fond of elves, so any chance I can get to harass them, I will. I suppose I just ask, what brings you to the road, elves?
Does your character know Elvish at all?
No,
No. Okay. Does anyone else's character know Elvish?
I know
It's not very
Cinderin.
You
I know
Sindarin?
some.
She knows some as well. Okay. Durnhild knows some as well. Okay. So I think that the elves kind of pretend not to understand you. You know. Do your companions want to say anything on your behalf, or maybe smooth over this rough greeting?
And I say in Cinderin, I just say, it's just dwarves. She's just trying to get a rise out of you. We'll be on our way.
Oh, Durnhild, anything from you on this?
I lean down to Kona and I put my hand on her shoulder and I say, let them pass. Their business is not with us.
follow your lead.
All right. We're going to say that the passing of this company here is not something that is going to affect your guys' journey at all, but they sort of give you guys the side eye, very calmly get up, and very calmly begin to continue to head westerly on their own western path. It is not taking them through Bree, obviously, but they are headed in a different generally westerly direction than you guys are. And that will be your first encounters on the road. I am going to have our lookout make one more roll right here and see what you roll.
Is that me?
I think that's you, yeah.
I thought I was the lookout.
Hang on a second.
He was the scout.
You're the scout. I'm sorry. Kona is
Okay.
indeed the lookout.
I
My
couldn't remember if they
mistake.
were the same thing. My bad. Okay. good.
18.
18.
All right. Kona, here's what you see. As you are passing away, you're passing by, and because their road is different than yours, you are kind of during some point passing over where ground that they would have already trod upon, even though you're both going in a general westerly direction. You're following the road, and they're not. As a result, you pass by an area that looks as if they passed it, and here's what you see. You see that there is a creature that's been sundered, pierced by an arrow, and it lies dead off the path. And on closer inspection, it is a creature that is like a raven or a crow, if ravens or crows grew much larger, and it has a skull that is distended, and like the skull of the bird has burst out of its flesh and everything. And you know that this is a creature that would be familiar to those dwarves of the Lonely Mountain, called a Crebain. They are fell bird creatures that are sometimes used by the dark forces as messengers or spies. And it has a elf arrow. It's white wood with gray feathers, fletched with gray feathers, and it's one of these elves killed this thing, and it lies dead along the path there. And you sort of furtively look up into the sky, and you don't see any others of them. But
And it bears no message.
no message that you can see, but they can also speak or remember things or something. So sometimes their messages are not written, So
Is there any way to investigate it to reveal that message?
you can take a look at it. You or perhaps Damrod could make a survival check on that if you let him in that you've seen this.
Hey, we found this crazy murderous crow, nightmare fuel. They're usually bad news. Can you check it out? It might be bearing a message.
Oh my God, I don't like that. Damro doesn't say it though. He says, "Interesting," and he dismounts and he throws his cloak over his shoulder and walks over.
I hop out with my journal in hand. I've heard of these birds, but I had never imagined I'd see one
Oh,
before.
that's a critical.
That is a critical, and that is 20, which means that I'm going to be
25.
donating $20 to the fund. I'm gonna Yep, I'm gonna do that.
We
I'm
need a
gonna.
soundboard.
We definitely need something here, but I just am not the guy to figure that out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make a note of that somewhere so that I do not remember. So that's gonna be 20 bucks.
I won't let you forget.
On behalf of Damrod Findagill here, we're gonna put it in the character's name. Is what I'm gonna say.
People are gonna be like,
Exactly.
"What the hell are these nerds?"
What is that?
giving us
Somebody?
money?"
Must be somebody from Chicago. Okay. So, all right. What could, on a 20, what could a ranger of the north figure out about this horrible bird creature? Damrod, you take a very close look at the thing, and you take the closest look possible. You pull out your little hunting knife, and you get on in there, man.
Boy, this thing's got a cloaca and everything.
Well, it does.
Adam's
you know?
not here, but it
Well,
does.
well, it
I know,
does.
he's something.
Well, it does. It's a bird. Anyway, you get in there, and Damrod, you cut into it, and you discover what it has eaten. And you discover that it has plant matter and stuff that would track this thing across not any places in Angmar or Gundabad or the north parts, but around here, around the rest of Eriador and Eregion and this area that you guys are kind of moving through, So this tells you that this creature has been ranging in this area. It was not from another area, or at least if it was, it has not been back to that area that it's from for a long time, So this would seem to indicate to you that there is like a presence of these things
Yeah.
in this area. That's what you're able to determine on a 20.
It doesn't seem to have traveled from very far. There might be a party that this thing is linked to near here.
We'll
We
have to
should be
keep
on
an eye on
guard.
both the skies and the road then.
All
Indeed.
right. You guys move along.
Are the feathers any good for arrows? Like, can I fletch my own arrows?
Yeah, I think you could probably take some of those. Go on ahead and put some Crebain feathers in your inventory. Feathers in
Sweet.
your inventory there. And if
I
it's ever
feel
something
like
you
with
want-
that survival check, like I plucked off like all the good feathers.
just the belly ones.
And just,
they're
like,
not
hand
flight.
them
They're
off.
not flight feathers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys continue onward. And the next thing that happens to you is something that I totally wrote down. All right. Everyone go ahead and make your associated rolls again. Go on ahead and do those survival or investigation or whatever rolls I had for your roll.
16.
16. And
Oh wait, hold on. Did I roll that one? Hold
yeah, 16.
15.
Oh.
Emily also rolled a 15. Very
Yeah.
good. Hugh, you got a 14, and Durnhill both got a 14. Okay, here's what happens. You guys spot and track a boar. A wild boar is out there in the wilderness. It would make a great meal. Durnhill, you needed to roll a 15. You rolled a 14. But because everyone else rolled high, I'm going to give you another chance at it because the guide has a good spot and everything, and the scout both figured out the area well enough that you actually double back and you get another shot at it. Do you want to take that shot at it, or do you want to let him go and continue on with your journey?
Take the shot.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
take-
hungry.
Take another shot, yeah.
Oh,
Roll it.
girl.
And this time, make an attack roll. Just make an attack roll with your short bow on that. Now that you're, in the thick of it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's certainly a much better roll for you.
No,
Oh, no.
no it's not.
All right. Well, guys, unfortunately, the boar does, he doesn't get the better of you, but he does get away, unfortunately.
Lucky boar.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a wash. Nothing terribly bad happened to you on that. Nothing great happened to you on it either. And so you guys continue on with your journey.
I am visibly angry. I was like, I had gotten my hopes up I was like, fresh boar. This is awesome. So
Are you dreaming of bacon, Hobbit?
Yeah.
Patience, Hobbit friend.
I'm like, that looked really good.
Tragic story. As you guys continue, I'm gonna say, Finnegan, there is I think a quality on one of the things on your character sheet that says, did I say weather lore or weather spotting or something like that?
What now?
I think that you have.
Oh yeah,
something on-
that's me. Shit, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, dude, that's you.
I was typing something here. Yeah. I have yeah, please. I have I understand telltale signs of weather and can also just like I'm adept at spotting stormy weather and other dangers. So yes, I would always have my eye on the skies and notice if anything funky was coming.
For that reason,
eye on the sky.
for that reason,
Too.
for that reason, you get this one for free. You don't have to roll. You see bad weather coming in before any of the other party members do.
I feel it in my knee.
There you go. And there's the road, but there's also some trees off to the north that you guys could use to take shelter. So the question then is, do you advise your teammates to do so?
Is it bad enough that a hobbit would say we better get some shelter?
It is.
Yeah.
The sky is darkening. Like, it's not darkening now, but you know that it is going to darken like that.
Okay, then yeah, I let the team know because I'm obviously like, hey, wasn't able to do much about the boar, and I'm sure not a fighter, but one thing I can pitch in with here is that there's some nasty weather heading our way, so I would highly recommend that we find some cover.
You do so. I mean, does everyone agree that it's the right course of action? First, I should ask your characters.
You guys cool with
Those
that?
clouds look ominous.
Yeah.
They're gonna get worse quick.
It looks like we've got general ascent here, so you guys move north off the road and into the trees. And just as you do, bam, the weather comes down. It is like buckets out there. Roaring rain outside and everything. But because you guys are sheltered in the trees, you are not getting too wet. Things are okay. It's later in the day anyway. Maybe you guys were thinking about camping soon anyhow. As you're beginning to break your encampments out and stuff, everyone here is going to tell me what their passive perception score is, which, if it's not on your sheet, it would be 10 plus your wisdom modifier.
I have 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just so you know, if you're proficient in perception, then you just add that skill to the 10. If you're not proficient in perception, then you just add whatever your wisdom modifier is. So in this case, I have a wisdom modifier of 13. I'm not proficient in perception, so I just add 3 to that 10.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I've just got 11.
Got an
My
11.
wisdom's 11.
Yeah.
11.
All right. I'm looking for what we got. Give me 1 second here because I need to determine just exactly who is coming for you guys.
Oh, thanks.
Well, you know.
Who's coming for you?
All right.
Bring it.
Okay. With an 11, the 11 is the lowest that any of you guys said, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And who has an 11? Okay. All right. Damrod, you notice this first, but the others of you notice it soon thereafter. You feel a chill pass through the air all of a sudden, something that is that should not even be in consideration of the weather. And you all feel a sense of foreboding. In the trees here, further deeper into the dark of these woods, you see sort of a rock outcropping where there's kind of like a cave depression in there. And from out of that cave, you all look and you suddenly see a spectral form of what looks like a man. See-through, strange blue witch light coming off. And this man is as tall as Durnhild and Damrod is. As Durnhild and Damrod are, a tall person. wearing armor and a cloak, armed with a spear and a shield, but not in a physical form, in a dreaded, ghostly sort of form. And as it advances on all of you, it speaks in some language that you guys don't understand, and two corpses shamble out of the dark behind it. These are dead bodies, armed, arrayed as soldiers are, and they are actual dead bodies that are coming after. And it points its weapons at you and hisses something in a language that sounds like lava getting scraped across flint. And everybody rolls initiative to attack right now, including myself.
Oh no. Wait,
Oh no.
I
I mean,
forgot my
that's not-
plus. What are my plus?
19.
I have an
plus
initiative.
2.
Plus. Yep. All right, so let's see. That's going to be Kona with a glorious 13. Finn with a
I'm
glorious
sorry, what am I rolling?
Initiative is on your sheet, and for you, it's just going to be adding your dexterity bonus to a d20.
Dexterity, okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Damrod gets a glorious 19.
19.
All right, and Durnhild is going to come in with a 15. All right.
Oh no.
The order of battle is going to go this foul, fell creature of ghostness, Damrod, Durnhild, Kona, the first corpse, and then Finn, and then the last corpse. That is going to be the order of battle here. All right. This creature is going to advance, and he's going to look at all of you, and I'm going to say that Damrod, he's going to single you out for punishment here. As he rushes forward, he has his shield set, he has a broadsword in one hand, and he is going to take a swing at you with his spectral weaponry here. He's going to roll a glorious 7. Does a 7 hit you, Damrod?
Let me check. Do I have my shield
Say,
out?
check your shield up.
No, it doesn't hit me.
Yeah, I know it doesn't hit you. Calm down. All right. How are you armed, by the way? Do you have your shield and sword out, or are you going to?
That's what I would have out. Yeah.
You would have that. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You have your shield up, and his weapon crashes down on your shield. You take the blow, and you come out of it fine. All right. That means that it is your turn. How are you going to respond to this? And in the meantime, you've got these other two soldiers that are kind of shambling forward as well.
Well, I mean, this guy's in my grill. I'm not gonna just sit back and be like, yeah, everything's cool, whatever. I'm gonna swing at him. I'm gonna get an 11. I'm assuming that I'm betting that doesn't hit him. I just lost everyone. Ken, you're muted.
Sorry, I was trying to press spacebar on that. No, you did not hit him. Your hit doesn't go wide, but it's as if his armor and his shield are actually made of solid matter. When you strike it, you're astounded by this. It seems as if your blade should just go right through him. That was your round. All right, Durnhild. Here's the thing: you just came out of the road and everything. At the moment, you are still mounted on your horse, but you don't have any room to maneuver. If you stay on your horse, there's not going to be a good path for you to ride around, but you could stay on it and try to fight them from a range with your bow, or you can get down and pull your melee weapons. How would you like to proceed?
I'm going to stay where I am and stay mounted and aim a bow shot at the closest shambling soldier.
Go for it. Go ahead and roll an attack with your short bow, factoring in your mounted bonus. So that should be a +8 total. And that is a 20 with your modifiers. And that is going to hit one of these soldiers. Go ahead and roll your damage. That is 5 damage to him. Your arrow strikes and he reacts. He pushes back, but a dead growl escapes from his throat, and he continues shambling forward. You've harmed him, but you have not defeated him. Next up, Kona, it's up to you.
Did we get a fire started?
You have not gotten a fire started yet.
Damn it. I wanted to light something on fire.
You can take an action and light a torch if that is what you would like to do.
Is that the only action I can take?
The way that it would work is, well, yes, you could also move somewhere. But in order for what you could do on your turn now, lighting a torch would be what you could do. You could be able to attack with it or try to do something else with it on your next turn. That's how
Can
that
you
would work.
use a torch as a weapon? Just asking for a friend.
You can, if you want to try to wave it at them and see if it has an effect on them. You can,
Yeah, let me
totally.
go ahead and do that, because seeing as they're spectral beings and not of this world, they might be afraid of fire.
You go ahead and you light your torch, and here is what happens. Immediately, the spectral creature in front of you recoils from the flame of the torch as if, and it just snarls at you. And its face was appearing as a normal man's, but it does the thing where it turns rotten and skeletal and stuff when it hisses at you. You've clearly angered and enraged and terrified it by lighting that fire. So that's what happens with him. Okay, one of the corpses is going to continue shambling forward, and it is stupid and brainless and has no fear of such things and is going to attempt to attack you, Kona. So get ready. I just need to figure out what his attack bonus is. Grr.
Am I rolling my what am I rolling?
No. I'm rolling against you. What is your armor class on your
13.
13. All right, he is going to hit you with his roll of a 16. And that means that he's going to hit you with his grasping claws. All right,
Rude.
let's see.
I just want to say this is so weird not hearing Ken say "F you" before he makes every attack roll.
I
Yes,
I know.
That's what they say.
Sidebar.
Those
Kona.
the thing of the matter is that I am a terribly blue DM normally, but I'm trying to keep it friendly for people watching.
It's so weird. Like I see you
I
getting
know.
ready, and you're like, and so then
I
I
am
attack
stopping
you.
myself from swearing.
We can see that.
This is the most painful part of this for me. Okay, Kona, may you lie with dogs or something. I don't know what a curse in Middle Earth would be. Anyway, he's trying to grab you. So here's what you need to do. You need to make a roll. I'm figuring out what roll you need to make. You make whichever's better, a dexterity save or a strength save. Whichever one of those is better for you. A save, okay, on that portion, right to the right of your ability scores.
Dexterity save.
Go for
14 plus 2, and then I roll a 20.
Yep. So yeah, you're gonna roll a d20 plus 2. Well, a dexterity save for you ought to be a +4 for your thing because you're gonna get another 2 on the save.
Okay, so +4.
Yeah, it should be a +4 there. What do you get?
Wait.
A 6.
How did I get a jeez.
Because you rolled a 2, sadly. All right, here's what happens. He does grab onto you, and you're not able to get away. You are, let's see, can spend. All right, he's basically he's grabbing you right now, which means that when you try to attack him or attack anybody, you're going to be attacking with disadvantage because you're grappled, which means you need to roll twice and give me the worst one. Now, one of your friends can give you a hand, though. You don't take any damage from this action of his. Okay, so that was Kona's round there, or that was the corpse against Kona. Finn, young man of Bree, young hobbit of Bree, your friends are pressed in upon all sides. What are you going to do?
Who am I nearest?
The nearest enemy to you right now would be either Kona's enemy or the spectral enemy that's tangling with Damrod right now. That's what's going on.
Do I get an advantage for tangling with the one that's already grappling with Kona?
You wouldn't get advantage, but you could take a shot at him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and have a little dagger swipe at this corpse.
Go for it. Roll your attack.
All right.
That is a 10, and a 10 hits one of these guys because their armor class is pathetic. Go
Okay.
ahead and roll your damage. The glorious 5 damage on that ain't bad at all. All right, and this is the one who already has an arrow sunk in him. So now your dagger slashes deep, and the thing growls and snarls. And the next part of the fight is going to be this last one. He is going to continue shambling forward. And, well, I guess Kona's already, she's grappled, and she's the one who's the most vulnerable. So this other guy is going to try to come in and take a swing at you. He's going to try to swing to deal damage to you. What is your armor class?
13.
13. A 14 in that case is going to hit you.
F.
It's gonna be a hit.
Yeah, he's gonna slash at you with his raking claws, and he is gonna deal how much? He is gonna deal how much? 1d6 plus 1 for a total of 4 vicious damage to you. Claws raking into you through your armor and everything. That is back to the top of the round, which means that the fell creature that is tangling with Damrod is going to attack. But he is terrified of the torch that Kona has in one hand. Snarling, he's still going to attempt to try to attack the Ranger of the North, his hated enemy. But he is going to attack with disadvantage because he is terrified of the light. So he is going to roll 2d20, and he's going to take the worst. And a 8 is not going to hit the Ranger of the North.
Pings off my shield.
And he rolled the other one that he rolled was a total of, I think, 16. So he would have hit you if not for Kona's quick thinking with the torch. So he misses you, battered aside. Damrod, it's back up to you, man.
Right,
how are you going to answer this guy?
I'm going to smack him.
All right. Roll to smack.
Oh, I rolled in the... I was looking at it. There we go.
22. All right. Well, that is a definite hit on this guy. Go ahead and roll your damage.
And just to make sure, nobody can hear the NCIS in the background.
Not I.
Okay.
9
that's
damage.
9 damage.
9 damage to this guy. And
Right to
a mighty
eye
blow.
holes.
Yeah. Now here's what you note. Though you've hit him with a hefty blow, it's as if you're hurting him less than he should be hurt. You know, there's something that his incorporeal flesh is resisting the slash of your blade, but you can tell that you are harming him and that you are driving him closer to defeat. Durnhild, it's up to you now.
It's not. I'm hitting him hard, but it doesn't seem to be doing the damage I want.
Fire.
Durnhild, you are.
You want me to pick? You want me to drop my shield and light a torch, dwarf? Is that what you want?
What's Durnhild up to?
That he's just holding his shield, and just his face is drenched.
Yeah, it's I don't have time for a torch right now. Yeah. All right, how is Durnhild going to go? She's still mounted, and nobody is immediately near her right now, but her friends are attacked upon all sides.
At this point, I'm going to leave my faithful warhorse Firefoot where he is. I know that he will not flee. He fears not even the dead. And I will rush toward the spectral creature with my shield in one hand and my long sword in the other.
All right, go
and take a slash at him.
Go ahead and roll your attack for that. An 8 is not going to hit that guy. I will tell you this though, and I'm a DM who always does this. If you decide to amend your attack and go after one of those zombie guys, an 8 will actually hit one of them. Do you want to go ahead and say that you aid Kona instead? Because you totally
yes.
Can. All right, go ahead and roll damage on that then, on one of the ones that has her pinned.
There's two that have me pinned?
Well, I mean, one of them's hitting you and the other's got you pinned, so they kind of both are.
Guys!
7. All right. Let's see, and that guy's taking blows from. Yep. Okay. Here is what happens. Durnhill, your longsword comes down upon his crown with a horrible blow, and he is going to make a Constitution save now. Because these guys have a little something that I like to call, or that the book likes to call, Undead Fortitude. He rolls a pathetic 6. He would have needed to roll, I believe, a 12 or a 13 in order to beat it. His dead flesh appears as if it's trying to rally, and then you take his head off with a subsequent strike. The creature falls dead. Kona, you're now up again. You're actually, he's off you. He's not grappling you, and it is your turn. You have the torch in one hand. You got your other weapon in the other. How are you gonna act?
Can I light an arrow and shoot it at the wraith and then use my sneak attack bonus?
Probably not, because lighting arrows and stuff realistically doesn't do very much,
Whatever.
But if you want to, here's what. You've got the zombie guy next to you. You've got the wraith creature, the ghost creature, a little ways away. If you attack the wraith creature with the torch, then the other guy is going to be able to take an opportunity attack, a swipe against you. You can risk it, though. Otherwise, you can attack him and deal with him now, or you can go rush to Damrod's aid and take an attempt at that. It's up to you.
I'll use my short sword and try and take out this dude.
Okay,
He's right up on me.
Go ahead and roll it. And because now remind me, let's see. Well, Durnhild is right near you, which means that she's right near this guy. Thusly, she's engaged with him as well. Your sneak attack damage will come in to play here if you hit. So go for it.
So I'm doing my D6 or 20?
You're doing a D20 to see if you hit him. And then you're adding whatever.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, no. Well, here, you did not add your modifier to that, so roll again and add your character's attack bonus to it.
What's my attack bonus?
Well, let's see. It's on your character sheet there in the middle column. Under attack, you should see plus. So you should be next to your short sword.
Oh, +3. Got it.
Yep.
So it'd be a 5, or do you want me to re-roll?
Roll again on that. Roll 20 plus 3. People watching will gather that I'm a generous DM. Holy crap, that's a 22. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad I said
Thank
that? Okay.
you.
With your sneak attack damage, you're adding another 1d6. So whatever it says 1d6 plus whatever, you're going to say 2d6 plus whatever on that damage. Got it.
D6, and then my sneak attack +2.
Oh, that is 12. And how much do these chumps have to have normally? Okay, a median mighty blow. He's still standing, but you've carved him deep on that. And let's see, the first one is dead, so he doesn't get a turn. That brings it back to Finnegan. Finnegan Proudfeet. Battle is joined. What are you up to now?
I think I'll go ahead and take a swipe at the one that just got carved pretty deep. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot you were engaged with him, which means that her sneak attack would have been off you rather than off of Durnhild. But
yeah, I'm pretty I'm terrified right now, but the fight or flight has me actually kind of pumped. I'm like, wow, I actually hit one, so I'm pretty psyched about this. So let's see. I'm going to attack with my dagger for 14.
14 hits him. Go and roll again.
All right.
Or, I mean, I'm sorry.
Damage.
Damage is what I mean to say. Yes.
Yep. Ooh.
4 damage is damage. You hit him once before. Kona cracked him a good one. So this actually would bring him down.
Ooh.
He needs to roll a Constitution save to see if his dead flesh regenerates itself. And a 4 plus a 5 is a 9, and a 7 is not high enough to beat it. Finnegan Proudfeet, you have slain a servant of the shadow, a humble,
my first kill,
humble hobbit from the land of Bree, much enamored of his books and his pipeweed and his ottoman where he rests his foot up, but Tolkien wouldn't call it an ottoman because there are no Turks in the Shire. Yeah, you slew a bog soldier, sir, and it falls dead to the blade of your homely dagger. There you go.
Hobbits are a surprising folk, aren't they?
Yeah, Kona, you're still drenched
yeah.
in rotten blood and stuff, and you're just like hobbits are strange folk here. All right, that happened. He's down. All right. Okay, the fell wraith is not happy with how this is going, but he's also dead and does not care about anything. So Damrod, he is going to again take his disadvantage attack against you. This one might actually do it. Let's see. He rolled
11.
Well, hang on. He's going to use his. He's going to use his attack with his broadsword. That is a +4, so that is a total of 15. Does that hit
Does
you?
not hit. Pings
Does
off
not
my
hit.
shield.
He crashes off of it again, and he actually spits a curse at you in Adunaic, which is your own home tongue. He shouts, "The world of men will fall."
And I'll say, not as long as I stand.
Oh, yeah. All right. And it's your turn.
Okay. I will. Blah, blah, blah. All right, let's hope this does something. Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's a 21, and it is going to hit this fool. Roll your damage against him.
I believe it's +3. Nope, +2.
7
7.
damage. Another hard blow with your longsword. Again, terrified as he is of the fire and dismayed as he is at the death of his men here, he's still holding strong. Durnhild, you've defeated the threats to Kona and Finnegan there. Are you going to press in to help your comrade?
Yes.
All right. Attacking with your longsword, go for it.
All right.
That is a 17, and does that hit that guy? That does hit that guy. Roll
All right.
your damage.
Okay, and I am using my longsword two-handed. I've dropped
All
my
right.
shield, and I'm
Drop your
just
shield. double-handed.
wailing on him.
All right. That should be, I think it's a D10 plus your.
Yep.
Yep. Go for it.
Ah.
7 more damage there. Still a meaty blow. All right. And Durnhild and Damrod now side to side, shoulder to shoulder, like crashing down on this guy, penetrating his defenses. He's stumbling and reeling back even in ghost form. Kona, you've got a lit torch in your hand, and he does not like it. What are you going to do?
Can I just like thrust it into his face or his uncorporeal body?
You can do that, and here's what I'm going to say. Don't even worry about an attack roll because he is pressed in by both of your comrades there. I am going to have you roll and add your sneak attack damage to it. You are going to roll 2d10 and add your 1d6 sneak attack damage. Just go for it. As the torch touches him, it's as if his flesh is like gas, natural swamp gas, and it ignites as you shove the torch into him. Go ahead and roll that damage right now.
It's just the 2d10, but you said I can add a 1d6?
Yep, because, hey, he's in melee, you're doing sneak attack damage.
Okay.
Oh, no. All right.
No.
You guys did that much damage and that much damage and that much damage, and she does this. All right, Kona, your torch ignites the wraith. His form falls away, and he just becomes like this flickering light, this gaseous burning light. He curses you in that same tongue that you've never heard before, that sounds like you're grabbing somebody and just like tearing the back of their throat out. And then his form bursts. There's a burst of swamp gas light, and then all is dark and quiet inside the forest. there among you guys. You guys have defeated these creatures here.
Go back
And-
to the shadows from whence you came, foul beast.
Exactly.
Here we go.
Here is what you find nearby. You guys delve into the shallow cave area where he was, and you find several things that you think must have belonged to whoever he may have been in life. If anybody has history, or if anybody has lore, or if anybody has traditions, you guys can roll to see if you find out something about this gear here, and then I'll describe to you what it all is. Okay?
I have lore.
I
18
I
there,
have traditions and history.
traditions.
I've got
and-
history. I did not read any. I would say that after this happens, his shoulders slump a little bit, and he just seems a bit pensive.
And Finnegan,
he's-
what does that 18 represent? Hey, Hugh.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was still muted.
Yeah,
Lore.
sorry. What was that 18 a roll for?
That was a lore check.
That was a lore check. Okay, we'll resolve yours first here. The things that you see here bear the sigil of a star on them, and they're of a certain ancient make. You believe that these are things from a very bygone age, that these are things from Arnor or perhaps even Westerness, which, like, you're astounded by this. These are things that are places of legend. It's like somebody saying that something is from Avalon, you know. Now, you're not sure. This could be somebody imitating it. This could be somebody putting these symbols on these items, but they look extremely well made and extremely old to you. And here's what you guys find. Did anyone else roll, and what did they roll?
I
Okay.
rolled an 8, so I was saying that because of my 8, I mean, because I kind of like, we just fought shadow beings and they just showed up out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
after that happened, it kind of, everybody noticed it made him a little sad that we've already encountered a shadow being, and his shoulders kind of slump, and he like,
Sure.
yeah, he's like dragging off the bodies and making a little pyre around them because we have to
Not-
burn these when we're done. But
Not
he's
so happy. All right. Kona gets a 13 and Dernhild gets a 9. Dernhild with a 9, you will understand that these are from an older race of men. You at least get that much off of it, but you're not exactly sure what else you can determine from it. Kona, you similarly would determine that they are from the old North Kingdom, but you don't know too much else about who may have wielded them or something. However, Finnegan, Proudfeet, you determine that this stuff would have been from Arnor or even Westerness. The land far across the sea that was sundered by the gods after the men who lived there angered them, you know, and that's where the Gondorians say that their far off forefathers came from in ages long past, from the second age of Middle Earth. Here is what these things actually are. Once I scroll down to where I have my stuff here, we are in here, and there we are. All right. You guys find a few things. There is a shield. The shield bears that same sigil of a silver star on it. You find a broadsword, and similarly, the broadsword, the hilt has a kind of a star pattern where the hilt meets the blade. You find a suit of armor that is a scale hauberk. It is medium armor, and it would impose disadvantage on stealth, if that's a thing that any of your characters would care about. There is a great bow that is there as well. And also there is a good pile of silver, and they're not coins. You would call them hack silver. It's like bits of silver stuff that used to be decorations or used to be statuary or something, and they've been hacked into little bits so that you can weigh them and use them as like ounce weights and stuff that used as currency by the old shipmen of old. And there is enough where each of you delving into that pile can come away with 50 silver pennies to add to your account. Yeah, it's a goodly cache of treasure. Does anybody have any who wants to lay claim to what?
I think
Mhm.
Does
go ahead.
I don't know if any of this, like, it all seems like, would a shield, that would probably even still be, that would, like, almost as tall as me, right? I probably don't have any use for, like, a big shield.
I don't know if your character has proficiency with the ability to use shields to begin with.
Okay.
Is the real question, yeah.
Okay.
And I would need to check if Kona has that ability too.
I don't.
Okay. So the shield would be something that a Durnhild or Damrod would be able to use, really, as would be the armor. The sword is something that either of the two of you could use, I think.
Yeah, I can take a broadsword.
And actually, well, here's the thing. Finnegan, I'm going to say I'm looking at this gear here, and I apologize if I didn't do this correctly. I will say, does Durnhild, would you like the armor? I think that your character is the best suited to wearing the armor, and it is better armor than you have.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It is better armor than what you have. Is that something that you would like?
I would, yes.
Okay. Go on ahead and take that. And I looked this up for you. Your armor class would go up by 1, and you would say that you have a scale hauberk. Okay?
Okay.
The bow, I'm going to make that a short bow, actually, so that it is one that either Kona or Finnegan could wield.
I already have one.
Okay. Finnegan, you want to pick up a short bow? It'd give you a ranged attack there.
Yes, I will take a short bow.
Yes. And the reason that your character can do that is that apparently hobbits all have short bow proficiency. Isn't that nice?
I appreciate that.
It is called noble. It's under the noble pursuits thing, which also says that they are proficient in wine lore and pipeweed lore. This is not made up. This is what this game considers.
Seems right.
You
Are
know,
they proficient in dance lore?
I don't know.
They should be in sing and dance lore too.
You'd think.
We like to
The
drink
lords
and
of the dance.
yeah, we're like half bards just by nature.
This would leave the shield for Damrod. Okay, the stats on it, as far as you were aware, are no different than your current one, but it bears the Star of Arnor on it. Star of Arundel.
I mean, if it looks nicer, I would probably strap my other shield then just to the back of my backpack. But I'm not going to get rid of the shield that I've trained with for years. You know.
You go ahead and pick that up.
Yeah.
And Kona, the broadsword fits well in your hand, and you're able to use it. It would be 1d8 plus your dexterity bonus for the damage, and your attack would be plus your dexterity bonus, and then 2 more than that, because that's your proficiency bonus. So that's what you would roll on a d20 to get that to hit.
What's my short bow attack and damage?
1d6 plus dexterity for damage, and then your dexterity plus your proficiency bonus for attack.
What's attack again? Sorry.
I think plus 5, because your proficiency is plus 2 and your dexterity, I believe, is plus 3.
Okay, so d20 plus 5 for attack and 1d6 plus dexterity, and that's it for damage.
Yep, that's it for damage. I'm sorry I didn't look up your guys' sheets a little bit better here, but I wanted you guys to take a look at the spoils and possibly do the thing. And now we're going to do something that every DM loves to do, which is to make you guys roll a saving throw that you have never, ever done before. Everyone is going to roll a corruption save, because this is tainted treasure, tainted by the shadow.
Oh, so this is a save against the shadow?
Yes, it is a save against the shadow.
And I get to roll twice then, since I have an advantage against
do.
corruption?
You do have advantage against corruption.
Huzzah.
And it is a save against the shadow here.
I get advantage as well.
Go ahead and roll.
And this is just a flat d20, right?
Yes, it is. Well, actually, it's so your wisdom bonus normally.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So a corruption is a wisdom.
Ooh, man, I'm gonna need that advantage.
Yep. Let's see that advantage, young Master Proudfeet.
Oh, I see.
Oh, wait, hold on, that didn't go. Good
8.
lord.
Oh
You
no.
gotta be kidding me.
All right.
Wow, that's a consistent roll.
All right. Durnhild with a 15. And how is the ranger going to roll? Oh, 20
critted.
again. Man, Ken's costing me money tonight. 40 more. That's $40 total that we got here on 20s here.
Hey, I like to give back to the community.
He's just a
Wallet.
giver.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. Here's what happens. Durnhild and Damrod, your hearts are not affected by this treasure. You can sense the foul deeds that it may have performed or that it may have been involved with, but you're like, screw you, you're mine now. I'm gonna wield you in defense of the light and everything. Kona, you're gonna feel a kind of lure of wealth to this here. You're picking up this sword and you're like, this is, and the gold and everything, the silver rather that you picked up, you're like, yeah, this is what I want, this is mine and everything. And you're going to add on your sheet under shadow at the bottom there, you're going to add 1 point. Now, Finn, this is gonna manifest for you by you thinking, I've learned some secrets of the old days and everything, and you're going to want to know more about this treasure, almost to the exclusion of everything else on your trip so far. And you also are going to take 1 shadow point. And that is what is going to happen. As shadow points accumulate, if they ever become higher than your wisdom score, then you become miserable and like severe character problems occur. You can heal them by resting in certain places and taking time to purge them from yourself. If you ever get to the point where you go mad from it for a second or something, then you gain a permanent one that you can never get rid of. That's further along. It is a pretty ruthless game at that.
Yeah,
in
that's
that
pretty
case.
cool. I like that.
There's a bug in this room flying around. So if he gets on my microphone, that's not me.
If we see
That's,
Ken just moving around like
yeah,
this, we know why.
Fucking Bat of Angmar or whatever. Anyway.
Hey, my new weapon, do I have to get rid of one of the top 3 that I've listed? Okay.
Nope, you're fine. You're not carrying too much here. You can hold another tool in your tool bag there for that sword. And just remember that that's where you got it. Okay. So that's what's going on with you guys. You guys camp there for the night, and then it is not long afterward, the next day or so, that you guys do finally get in to Bree. Okay, you guys made it along the road. Nothing terrible happened to you guys. You guys were able to acquit yourselves well in the fight. Did any of you take? You guys took some damage there. Who took damage from anybody in that fight?
I did. I am down 4 points. I went from 12 to 8.
Did anyone else get wounded in that fight? Nobody? Okay. Finnegan, would you like to spend your healing die on using Hands of the Healer on her?
Of course.
Just because
yeah.
you can use it up before
plus,
you guys get into town.
Plus we're heading home to my hometown, so I can definitely do some Hands of a Healer. And that's just 1d8. I don't add anything to that yet, right? That's not
I believe
level
it's
up.
your wisdom modifier.
Is it?
I think, unless I misread
here.
the.
I have it up.
That's nice.
Oh yeah, 1d8 plus wisdom. Okay, duh.
Go for it.
All right.
And then you use that. That's your healing die that you have, and then you'll be out until you take a long rest, and you're almost back in town. So
4.
Well, there you go.
4.
Got hit for 4, got 4 back. All right. Finnegan tends to Kona's wounds quite capably, and you're back to full hit points.
Thanks. My
You guys-
gratitude to you. Can I give him my pennies? Because I don't need pennies.
I mean, there's silver pieces or whatever, I mean, look,
Nothing to me.
listen to me. You can still use them in the tollway baskets in this version of Middle Earth. Okay, they're not like, yeah. You guys
Even if you
this is
even
a
if
very-
you offered them to me, I would politely decline and say, oh no, it's you helped me from getting chopped up by those undead people. It's the least I could do. Keep your coins.
There you go. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, you guys come back into Bree, and as you do, you're coming in by the eastern gate. You guys approach, and as you do, Finn, you come in first, and you approach the gate guard, who you know, and he does the thing. He opens the top one, looks, sees there's a hobbit, opens the bottom one to get to head level with you there, and he says, Finnegan Proudfeet, you are a man much sought after in these days. Do you understand? I've heard your name by these shady characters coming by this door every night for the past week. What have you been on about? Where have you been?
Has anyone asked tonight about me?
No, but they've been about. They've been about. Folks as I've never seen before, he says. Black cloaked, tall, talking, speaking in odd accents. I don't know where they're from. Who knows?
Yeah, when's the last time you saw these guys?
The days all blend together, he says. At least within the last fortnight, at least, he says.
All right. So I just tell them things are crazy, man. You wouldn't believe it if I told you, but we need to get in and rest. I've got some friends who have been helping me avoid these shady creatures, and they're gonna join me to go and take a well-needed rest. So if you could just let us in, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I'll let you in, but I have to let you know that the Lord Mayor of Bree here wants to have a word with you after all this commotion that's going on. Rangers threatening people in the street, everyone running in and out of the prancing pony, people asking about you. What is happening?
If you could do me a favor and not tell the Lord Mayor that I'm here yet, just give me a little head start, would you? Maybe don't announce my. I slip them a little bit of my silver stash and say I need a little rest. I don't have time to talk to the mayor right now.
All right, now I will inform you. This is another aspect of the game, by the way, that I read about here. There's no alignment in this game, like no chaotic good, lawful evil. You guys are all good guys. Bribing an official is a misdeed, is what you would call, and it is the type of thing where you could possibly get a shadow point again if you did it. I'll let you do it though, if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, you want to try to convince him.
All right, yeah. If I now that I know that it's a misdeed and that I'm not just being like, hey, but okay, so I'm more gonna be like, come on, man. How long we known each other?
Let's go ahead and roll your charisma and see what you do on this guy right here. Or persuasion, if you have persuasion. It would be another one that you could possibly roll.
No, I've got insight, animal. What is that? Animal handling?
Animal handling.
Handling. Okay, yeah, the type is small. Yeah, I don't really have anything in my it's dex and intelligence. Is anything intelligence modifier that would help me here?
Is insight something that you have, and is it intelligence?
Oh yeah, insight. Yeah, insight is wisdom, and I've got a high wisdom.
Go for it. See if you can use your insight to determine what you should say to him to get him to let you in without any kind of hassle.
What the fuck? I mean, what in the heck?
What the heck? Oh no.
Roll one.
Try that again. Try that roll
20.
again.
+3.
+3. Oh, that's a 21. All right, he says. Yeah, you're a good old boy. All right. Here's what you can do. The Lord Mayor is going to get in touch with you, and he is going to interrogate you at some point. You have a choice that you and your companions need to make. You know that you are being sought after here. Do you want to stay in your home, or do you want to seek other accommodations here for yourself? Your companions will wisely tell you, and I, the DM, will tell you that it is not an option for you guys to keep hitting the road. You will run out of supplies and get tired and everything. You have a long way to go to get to Anuminus from here.
Oh no.
So
what do I know about the mayor? Is he a good guy? Is he a guy that's gonna like hassle us and like really give us the third degree? Is he a guy that I'm gonna be like, what do I know of the mayor?
Here's what you would know based off of being a resident here, and this is a layer of the rules, actually. You guys are about to go into an audience, and audiences are where you roll to see how well you are received and try to get things from a leader, a political leader, or somebody. Here's what I'll give you for free. You know that one of his motivations, for sure, is I wrote it down, in fact. Okay. His highest motivation that you know is no appearance of being seen as cowardly or feckless. He is an insecure guy. More than that, you would need to kind of piece together based on speaking to him. But because you are from here and you know the guy, you know that the main thing, his overriding concern before anything else, is not looking like a dork.
Okay. So I am gonna tell the group, like, look, this guy, he's gonna want to make sure that he's like, having a show of strength here, and so I want to make sure that we're not like made an example out of, but maybe we can convince him that these dark characters are a menace that was that maybe we can help eradicate and play to that, and tell him that yes, you will look strong if you allow us to go and handle this and don't bother us. So if you think that we can convince him of that, then we can crash at my pad. If you think we need to try and duck this guy, then maybe we should go stay at the Prancing Pony. I might be able to convince my buddy there to let us stay in a room without my real name attached to it. So what do you guys think? Do you think we can get in and out and talk to the mayor? Obviously, you guys are the strong arms. So what would you do if I wasn't here?
I'd order a room at the Pony, or maybe two, and we stay in the other one.
If you weren't here, we wouldn't have the option of hiding at your place. But I don't know. I'd prefer to go with you, and I imagine there's things that you would need from your home as references, materials that potentially we could, because you've got lots of books there. I don't know. I vote for the Hobbit hole.
What if we get the rooms at the Pony, and then we just sneak over to my place but don't actually stay there, so instead of like a whole party just wandering off, so we don't make a show of it. That way maybe we can.
I think that your presence in town is going to be seen or remarked upon by people here. They're going to know that you're in town somewhere,
Right.
I don't think there's going to be much percentage in like trying to trick them as to which place you're at, like as far as the townsfolk. Maybe folks watching your place would be less apt to find you if you went to the Pony or somewhere else,
Right.
Well, I will gladly provide security wherever the party decides to go. Sneaking is not my specialty. Arms are.
So let's just stay in town if you have no need to go to your home.
What time is it?
I say you guys probably showed up there around noontide, so it's daylight.
Why don't we? Because I don't like sneaking around. I don't like the idea of this, and I don't think the mayor's a bad guy, at least from what I can consider about him. So why don't we go grab a meal? And if anyone hassles us during that meal, we'll deal with it. And if no one bothers us by the end of the meal, let's just head over and talk to the mayor. Let's just go see him ourselves instead of waiting for someone to come bother us.
How does everybody feel about that?
Lead on, Hobbit.
Aye, aye. Oh, you couldn't. My thumb was blocked.
Yeah, your thumb's just disappeared.
It was just
all right. All right. I want to go. They make a great chicken that they smash under a brick in the fire oven, and
there you go.
I haven't had that in a while, so let's the meal's on me, folks.
Sounds like a horrible way to treat a perfectly.
You guys head on in, and while you're in Bree, Finn, you don't like your personal prosperous wealth and everything is not going to be compromised by comping a meal for your buddies. You do finish the meal, and you aren't hassled while you're there due to your smooth talking the gate guard, but then you voluntarily head into the office of the Lord Mayor, where he appears, and his name is one that is deep in the annals of of Bree history, but it has been lost to us now in the Fourth Age. So we are just going to call him Mr. Manager. He calls you forth and he says, Finnegan Proudfeet, I think you have some explaining to do, young man. First off, who are these characters who are here with you, and why have you been sought after by these strange folk in the night? This is most unorthodox. This is far too silly.
Believe me, sir, I'm as surprised as you are. I'd much rather have been sitting in my home reading my books, and oddly enough, that's what's got me into all this. But I won't bore you with the details. I'll just say that for our part, we are in the process of handling it. I don't think that there's been any issues here in Bree since we left. And if you would kindly let us continue, we'll make sure that no trouble follows me back on my return.
Here's what I need you to do. Since you're going to be the mouthpiece of the party, I'm going to have you roll a traditions check, if that is something that you have. If anyone else has it and would like to step in and think they have a better bonus than Finn does,
What was the
you guys may.
check?
I have a +2.
Plus
I've got a 3
Dernhild
for
has.
intelligence.
3 for intelligence, okay.
Yeah,
Here-
I'm not going to offer intelligence help.
If Dernhild would like to aid Finn in doing this, there's 2 reasons. One, she's proficient with the skill. You can still let him roll because he has the higher plus.
Mhm.
Here's the other thing that your character has. Your character also has like the sigil of the king or something, which lends you an air of legitimacy to people in authority, like
Okay.
to give an attempt at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that because I just rolled a 7.
All right. Is that how Dernhild wants to assist him by, stepping in and presenting as well?
I can do that, yes.
Yeah.
What's Dernhild saying to the mayor now as Finn gave his little spiel here? How is Dernhild aiding him with her sigil of the king and her diplomacy?
I am just presenting the greetings of the mark and showing my sigil and assuring the mayor that we mean peace and that we are on a noble quest, and recommending that he listen to my good friend here and all of his lore knowledge.
Go ahead, Finn, and roll again. This will be your advantage roll here to see if you do better. Go ahead and add your +3 just as you did.
Right.
9, a glorious
Yeah.
9.
Man,
All right.
man.
He's like, I don't know about that and everything. What is gonna come of this is twofold. First off, seeing Dernhild, he is astounded first to see Dernhild and to see Kona in particular. A Dunedain ranger doesn't raise his eyebrows any, but a woman of the mark dressed in full armor and a dwarf who at first he takes to be a man due to the beard. It's the beard. It is indeed the beard. But then comes to learn as a woman. These things are things that he has never seen before. So unfortunately, Finn, you didn't make a good enough case to him that you guys are not going to stir up trouble, unfortunately. So the result is that you guys are going to get detained for a couple days. He's going to bombard you guys with questions and annoy you and pull you back in, and we're going to break for lunch, and then we're going to come back again, for voting and all this kind of stuff. We're going to have to get through the consent calendar before we get everything. Here's the other things that you guys might need to determine. What other things do you want from him, I guess? One of the things that I would say is that he might not give you guys access to things like shops or something if he's really going to hammer you about it. Do you want to try to convince him to do that as just one example of what you could roll for to see what you could get from him?
Yeah, I think we should make a case that that us being more well equipped and able makes us more give us a better chance of getting out of his hair and keeping things from getting worse here.
Go ahead and
Wink
roll.
sing his
Yeah, I'm
glad
sorry.
tidings.
All right. So, Finn, you're gonna roll a traditions thing again, just as before. What do you get?
What is it with
Man,
this
a
traditions
7.
thing? Are you
Oh,
sure?
all right. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. Hey, Durnhild, give him an assist again. Give him an assist again and roll again, Finn, and see what you do. You can aid him again. We're on day 2 of getting hassled by the man here, is what's going to happen. A 12. All right, a 12 is considerably better. All right, here's what he says.
Lord.
He says, "You may shop at your leisure and take advantage of the stuff here, and you will move about unimpeded," he says. "But, we want a little bit more before I will let you guys go. Here's what that does for you guys. With shop access, without it, I was going to say it would take a week for you guys to get a long rest out of this one-horse town. Because of that, it's only going to take you 3 days. 2 of them have been taken up with this nonsense. Are you staying at the Prancing Pony, or are you staying at the Hobbit Hole of Shay Proudfeet? Where are you guys staying?
If we don't have to, if we don't care if the mayor stays where, if we don't care where we're staying now that the mayor's involved or we pissed him off, we might as well stay at your place,
Yeah.
Proudfeet, if that's okay.
Yeah, as long as that's. I guess. Does it make more sense? Because I would probably be flush with food as a hobbit, so I've probably got plenty of provisions to feed everyone and start going through my books while we're hanging out. But if for some reason anyone objects and they want their own room and want to be able to go down to the bar, I wouldn't be offended. But I think I definitely want to stay at my place.
All right. Anyone
So
else have any
you
objection
are
to that?
are all welcome at my home.
How much leaf do you have there?
Oh, I have leaf.
Oh,
He's
God.
got barrels of old Toby.
I've got barrels of old Toby. That is what I do when I read.
Well, then I guess we're headed to the Hobbit Hole.
Hot
So,
boxing.
off you guys go for a bit of the old Toby. The tall folk of you sit down because you're going to be hunched in that Hobbit hole. But otherwise, it is, as described in other sources, the source of all comfort. Here is what happens. 2 days of this nonsense, but you guys are staying there. You guys have secured yourself the right to go shop or anything. We'll worry about anything that you guys may buy, any such incidentals or anything later. But here's how we're going to conclude our game for the night. Damrod, this happens. You took the shield, correct?
Correct.
You are enjoying a night of repose, sleeping for the first time in a long time in a very nice, very soft hobbit bed over which your ankles are hanging off the end. And suddenly you hear or feel something and your eyes open up and you look over. Your equipment and everything is sat over on your pack, easily retrievable. And you see that the face of the shield is glowing with a faint blue light, and you are filled with a sense of urgency and danger, as if something is approaching. That happens. Do you rouse your comrades?
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I roast my comrades.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and have the ranger roll a perception check to see what he can see.
Perception.
How are we rousted? Do you let out a manly shriek?
Huh.
Yeah.
Le shriek.
All right, that's D20 plus thrust. Okay, there you go.
15.
Not bad.
All right.
Not bad.
Okay, Damrod, you're on the ball. You very quietly shake everybody awake. Finnegan too. You're snoring. Suddenly, you're not anymore. You peek out the window. Here's what you see. You see a wolf, except this wolf is bigger than any wolf could possibly be. But it is like the creature that you fought before. It is incorporeal. It is a ghostly thing. It's like the wolf that's in Catherine's frame right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that wolf, very fearsome.
Yeah, spectral beagle. Anyway, he's out there. You see him. He does not see you. You're peeking out the window from inside a dark house. He does not see you. And he's ranging around the house, sort of snarling, sort of looking for a way in. How are you going to deal with this?
Can we throw some leaf at him? Would he eat it?
Doubtful.
Damn it. Wait, dang it.
Well, if he's
Mellow
looking
wolf.
for a way in, I would make sure the windows are all done, and I would tell everybody to, I guess, brace
keep
themselves.
quiet.
You know,
How
yeah,
big
keep
is this
quiet.
thing?
This thing is, well, it is a
Like warg sized?
yeah, which would make him a large creature. So like a small horse, basically, is what we're talking about here. But again, ghostly, see-through, a strange blue light.
In horse terms, he'd be 12 hands high. You know,
About, yeah, I'd say about 12 hands. Hands.
Yeah, I'm
mean,
I'm
Let me
freaking right
measure
out.
him.
I'm freaking right out.
I don't.
Just army crawling.
Yeah, I don't like. If he doesn't know, I think that the better way would be to, if he's trying to find a way in, would just be to make sure the windows are closed and to stay on guard. Like, you know,
So
I guess I would have us go into like one room, you know.
And say
And-
pick a room, stoke the fire. Like,
Because
Totally
he definitely knows
Yeah,
we're
watch.
here. Like, he's not just like wandering the streets. He's looking at my house. Like,
He's watching your house. You know, you don't know right away that he is like 100% certain that you're here.
is he drawn by the shield though?
He does not see it.
all right. So I'm gonna say like nobody move. Don't stoke the fire. Like, let's keep quiet and just see if he moves on. That would be
All
my
right.
first recommendation. Is like,
All
hey,
right.
let's see if maybe he moves. And like, and do I notice the shield since he roused us up? Is the shield still glowing? Do we notice that?
It is glowing ever the brighter with his presence. This
Cover
creature's
it.
presence.
Yeah,
outside.
I'm gonna throw an Afghan over that. I've got a really nice thick Afghan. I'm gonna be like, let's just cover that so he doesn't see it glowing. The fire was already out because we were sleeping, right? Weren't we sleeping already?
Mhm.
So the
I-
fire was pretty
Down to
dim.
coals.
So
Can
Yes.
I roll like a straight intelligence check? Because
Yes.
like I feel like, well, okay. Should I roll it or should Finn's roll it? Because
Yeah, you're thinking of it, so
he's-
go ahead and roll it.
Well, okay. Because I mean, obvious. Well, because what I was thinking is that like we might have heard that if any of us are in the Shire or near that area, we might have heard tales of a certain sword that glows, and I don't know if it's similar to that or not. You know.
Go for it.
All right, let's see. Well, I rolled a 3.
Glorious
so,
3.
So I don't think of that.
It doesn't come to you immediately. It doesn't come to you immediately.
That's
Anyhow,
yes, cover it. Put it under the mattress.
I added up several aspects of how you guys approached town and whether or not you stayed at his house and whether or not you guys did well with the mayor and stuff like that to do a certain what would it take for the wolf to figure out you guys are actually inside even if you're hiding. And he rolled a 16, which is higher than what that would have done. So here is what he attempts to do. The wolf turns into like a ghostly gas type of thing, and he slides underneath the door
Oh, good.
and appears inside the house. You guys are alert to his presence. He suspected you guys were inside. Now he's faced with not one of you, not one hobbit, but 4 armed adventurers, which he did not expect. Everybody, we don't need to do initiative. Who acts first and how are they going to react to this creature?
I'm just
I
going to
probably
grab
have
my
first.
sword and try to plunge it into him.
Yeah.
Roll
me too.
your attack. $12. What does this guy even have?
Here's mine. I got a 13.
13. All right.
We're both really close.
Durnhild, your sword is going to miss, but Damrod, your sword is not going to miss on a 13.
Is
So-
this thing the same type of incorporeal weird ghostliness that the last guy was that was like super afraid of fire?
He looks like he is actually. He looks similar to you. Now you have a frame of reference for weird ghosties.
So is there like a faint burning log or ember that I could grab out of my fireplace?
I would say that it's not difficult for you to do that at all. You take a move action there to move over, and you grab something from the fire, pull it out. You've got a burning rod from the fire. And again, this creature reacts as if the sunlight has come out. He's terrified. That's what
Okay.
you'll do. All right. The two of you have also attacked. And so now it's up to Kona. Kona, this is what happens. As you're trying to figure out what to do with this thing, your two comrades are pressing in and attacking it. You took the sword, right? You took the sword from the...
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
sword feels hot in its sheath at your side. If you draw it out, do you want to draw it out?
No.
You sure?
No. I'll draw it out, I guess.
All right. It's not a bad hot. It's a good hot. It's a good
Okay.
The sword is also glowing and singing now too as you pull it out. And
What's
the
it
creature
singing? Is it
sees
ABBA?
it and draws back and reacts. How do you want to proceed?
Obviously this creature fears my new blade, so I might as well slash at it, see what happens.
Roll.
Right in the face.
See if you're going to hit it with it.
Okay, so 1d8.
Well, I'll roll your attack first to see if you hit him. That is a 12. All right. You're going to miss with your blow. He jukes out of the way at the last second here. He is going to attempt to attack. He is terrified of the fire, so he is going to get a disadvantage, and he rolls terribly. All right. He snaps and snarls at the two of you. This wolf creature, this spirit warg, is going to try to escape. Okay. He is going to try to cut and run and get the heck out of there. Because he is just cutting and running, you guys all get to try to make an attack roll against him here. He's fleeing. So
would
you guys
mine just be chucking the thing that I have in my hand?
Yeah, but go ahead and say, I will say that it's the same as you making a dagger strike. So go ahead and just make an attack roll as if you were making a dagger strike. And just everybody, I'm just going to see. We got a 21. We got a 19.
Oh,
Let's see.
Nice.
Everyone just pile on. Oh, man. Durnhild is hitting this thing with the 19. Kona, it's up to you. Last strike here. I'm just seeing how many hit points this thing. 15. All right. Here's the thing. This guy has 16 hit points. There's basically no way that this guy could survive. Each of you guys hit him. Finn, you scorch him with the fire. And Kona, he's just getting out the door, just trying to force through it and everything. And you thrust forward with the broadsword. And you stab him in the side with it. You deal the normal damage with it and everything, but his incorporeal form bursts and explodes. Kona's the ghost slayer in this thing. It wasn't even my plan that would be what it is. The blade sings with force and shines, and then the light goes dim on it again and vanishes. Same thing for your shield, Damrod. The light goes out on the shield. Okay. And you guys have learned two things. You've learned that the broadsword is bane against an incorporeal ghost creature. And you've learned, Damrod, that your shield glows as a warning in the presence of the undead. And the fell creatures crafted through the foul necromancy of old Numenor that was fallen in the days when Donald Trump was president. That's not even an exaggeration. If you guys read the Akalabeth and the Silmarillion, that's basically what happens. It's like, and then there was a really crappy king who wasn't very good, and he outlawed Spanish speaking, and he had a Muslim ban, and he just that's basically what the story is. All right. And because I love these parts of Tolkien, I'm going to add this little part here. Kona, you do not know this, but all of our players at home will know this from the old lore. The That is the sword of old Westerness, and proud indeed would its maker have been to learn that after he forged it to be a bane against the undead, it undid one of the servants of the shadow, wielded in the hand of a dwarf lady, no less. So well pleased he would have been to do that. And
Does this
far
sword have a
away,
name?
we can give it a name right now. It does not have anything written upon its blade, but what does Kona want to name it?
The ghost face
Like-
killer, because it
My
kills
God.
ghost faces.
I
Oh,
was gonna
no.
call Wraith Slayer, but yours is so much better.
Wraith Slayer is pretty good, but Ghostface Killa is actually.
I was gonna call it Raekwon, but
Oh man,
Damn it, you!
Cuban links.
Riz,
Okay,
maybe.
guys, it is just on about 10 p.m. and that is a perfect stopping point because you guys, due to the fact that you guys slew this messenger, the shadow, the enemy, does not know for sure you are there because you killed its messenger. It is
Nice.
frustrated, and for all they know, a ranger could have stumbled upon it and killed it. You know what I mean? One of the other Dunedain could have just been like, "Hey, whoops! I almost flicked off the camera there. That's terrible."
Hey, you're not supposed to be here.
I know, it's terrible. So, you guys with your resources in town and your fierce defense of one another, you guys manage a long rest there in Bree, and you guys get out from under the thumb of the mayor, and you will move on to the next portion of your adventure, which would be to move north to Anuminas from Bree, which is about the same amount of distance you've already been, but to the north of Bree, and then along a road, and then off to the west to the Lake Evendim. You can totally look this up on the map anywhere in the beginning of the book, man. It's there. I promise you.
Do we level up next time?
I think that you guys will make level 2 for this. I will contact you guys to get you through that process and everything. I hope everybody had a good time, and I hope that everybody watching had a good time.
Yeah,
And
I had fun.
you're gonna donate to artsforillinois.org/donate. We hope that we inspired anybody to do that. And I think that I will bid all of you fine people good night.
And wash your hands.
Wash your
Wash your
hands.
hands.
Stay home.
Stay
20 seconds, wash your hands.
20 seconds. Do the Rohan theme in your head as you
Yes.
wash your hands. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.